But this holiday season, you can help them find a way forward by giving to the Salvation Army. Here in the Metro, we serve families with the support they need to get back on their feet by providing food, shelter, utility assistance, and more. Join our effort to love beyond Christmas. Give to the Salvation Army today at omaharedkettle.org. That's omaharedkettle.org.
Let me get you up to speed on the service that you need.
Is your car making a howling, growling, or crunching noise? It could be related to the drivetrain, which consists of your transmission, your transfer case, and differentials. Omaha Transmission is specialized in diagnosing and repairing all those components. Don't diagnose it yourself. Take out the guesswork and have us tell you for sure.
Omaha Transmission, shifting to running smooth. Down the 7
The Eagles present The Long Goodbye, the final tour, live in Omaha. With special guest Stevie Dan.
Are you reeling in the
The Eagles, CHI Health Center, Saturday, February 10th. Get tickets Friday, November 17th at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. The Eagles, The Long Goodbye, the final tour.
Hey everyone, Josh and John here for the FanDuel Sportsbook, where right now new customers, if you go to FanDuel.com/1620, you can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. John, I have the pick for Week 11 in the NFL. The 49ers of San Francisco are hosting the Bucks of Tampa Bay. Take the 49ers in this one, and you can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed if they win at FanDuel.com/1620.
Or just make it real easy. Bet against the Bears or the Cardinals or the Panthers or the Patriots. They're all pretty stanky. And all you have to do is win that $5 money line bet, and you get $150 in bonus bets back from FanDuel. Just go to FanDuel.com/1620. That's FanDuel.com/1620. 21 plus in President, Iowa. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees.
1620 The Zone.
That's one of those ones I wake up at 2 a.m. thinking about, like, hey, that's on me. I always start with myself. What am I not doing right? I'm the head coach. Everything that happens here, I'm responsible for. It's not the plays. It's not the application. I mean, you always want to call back here and there. It's the players and their confidence level and their execution level. And it's not like, hey, players, you got to make it right. It's actually just continuing to watch these guys grow. Quarterback wise, Heinrich has a pretty good ankle sprain. We'll see if he can do anything tomorrow. Chuba came out of the game a little bit banged up, hasn't played much. So he's a little bit banged up from, getting hit. Jeff healthy. So we'll go through the week, probably come all the way up to game time in terms of, who'll play. So obviously each guy brings a little bit something different to the table. So we'll have, sort of a pretty diverse plan and, see who's able to go. But I won't be able to comment on Heinrich till after I see him tomorrow, if he can do anything at all. We're really excited to have a chance to go to Madison, Wisconsin, an iconic place, a place that I played at as a player. Coach Fickle does a great job as he's in year one. Both teams at 5-5, trying to obviously get a win this week on national TV. Great opportunity for our guys. Really, really, really excited for our guys.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. 1620thezone.com and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Hey, guys. Great to see you.
Hey, great to see all of you on 1620 The Zone TV as we kick off a Tuesday. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Hello. What did I just do there with my computer?
Hello there.
Oh, yes. Oh. All right, welcome in. Hey, something just dawned on me.
Yeah.
We'll talk about being dumb and being ugly, which is a bad combination, I might add. But that's what sports is. It just dawned on me for Nebraska football. How about this? This is the day and age we live in. Nebraska football, the next 2 weeks are going to be on NBC and CBS.
Yeah.
How about that?
NBC primetime, too.
That's
goodness.
That is big time national exposure.
Now everybody gets to see.
Not on the Peacocker, not on the Paramount Sportser, but on the big NBC and CBS.
Regular
That's
TV.
That's a
bunny ears.
big deal. Just when you think that we're not relevant around here, they pull you right back in and they put you in a prime spot.
Yeah.
So welcome in, everybody. It is a Tuesday, going up on a Tuesday, the 14th of November. All right, dumb and ugly. You guys remember when you're growing up, there were words like, what were the specific words that you're, in my case, my mom, my dad was like, you can cuss, you can chew, you can smoke, you can do drugs, all that kind of stuff when I was little. Just kidding, because I'm seeing if Walt is listening this morning.
Did he say if it grows from the ground, it's probably okay?
Like, was there a particular word that your mom said that was not a curse word?
Stupid.
Yeah. Stupid and dumb.
Yep.
I remember at an early age, do not call anybody dumb. You're not dumb. Don't call anybody dumb. Things are not dumb.
Yeah.
Yes, and stupid.
Stupid, yeah.
Don't call anybody stupid.
Stupid, I heard that is the other S word, and so then I would reply with the actual S word. It's like, no, that's the S word. And Dad didn't really care too much because we'd be at a Spurs game. There'd be a bad call. I'd be like, no, that was a stupid call. He's blind.
I'm supposed to be substitute stupid with silly. Yeah, that's what we're taught. That's silly.
Well,
it's not stupid.
Well, sometimes
I would add the F word before silly, and then we compromise.
Sometimes you get rewarded for being dumb.
This is true.
When Jimmy was 4.
Well, I know somebody that I went to school with that I consider dumb, and I'm not afraid to say that. And they actually have been rewarded for being dumb.
Okay.
They have a nice job. They have a nice life.
Yeah. There are some people that are blessed that way.
Like Sean Payton, blessed last night for being dumb in a game that, can we just start the morning off? And I'm not a hater. Okay, my team didn't play this weekend.
No. Monday night game coming up.
My team going to bail you all out next Monday night in a regular season game that's got a little juice, as they say, when the Chiefs play the Eagles down at Arrowhead. But that game, which granted,
that'll be fun.
Granted, it was the 6th game that ended this weekend in the NFL on a game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
Sean Payton, for being dumb, got rewarded. I'm not a fan of Sean Payton in Denver. Russell Wilson actually is having a good year. But for whatever happened at the end of that game, and you could say that Buffalo was dumb, but I think that's just who Buffalo is. I think Buffalo has become...
It's another conversation.
They've become the Nebraska of the AFC. Okay, they turn the ball over. They got a quarterback who, turns it over. I think there's a lot of issues at Buffalo. I think we can stop saying their Super Bowl window is open, and they're a fraud. Buffalo is a fraud in their current state. But back to the ending of that game last night. If you missed it either on ABC, ESPN, or ESPN2, or right here on The Zone, both teams were trading turnovers. I mean, it was just one after another.
Oh, and after watching Saturday, that was like the last thing you wanted to see.
I mean, I'd rather see the fight that the Buffalo Bills fans had in the stands that a guy got thrown down the stairs than trying to watch what was going on in the field. But at the end of the game, Denver is driving. They're down 22-21. And with not even in field goal range, Sean McDermott pulls an all-out blitz. Boom. Got burned. DPI. It's the one that everybody hates, is a poorly underthrown ball.
You get bailed out for a terrible throw.
Ends in a defensive pass interference. They're going to have to do something about that in the offseason because every quarterback is doing it now. And it's the smart play. It's college. It's pro. I do the same thing. Mahomes has mastered that crap.
Yeah, and as a defensive back, there's no way of being able to stop yourself and not at least initiate the contact that's going to get caught. It's it's impossible as a DB.
But McDermott, an all-out blitz, there was no reason to do that.
No.
There's no reason that McDermott is running the defense in Buffalo and Leslie Frazier is no longer there. But so at the end of the game, Denver is in a position to try and win the game. And they kneel down, and then they rush their guys off the field.
Yeah.
And their field goal unit rushes on. Instead of winding the clock down to like 4 seconds and spiking it, they've got a fire drill going on. And Buffalo gets caught with 12 men. They assess the penalty.
That was Sean's genius right there.
And Denver wins an absolutely dumb game.
Yeah.
Some might say ugly. We got a lot of dumb and ugly that's going on in football. A win is a win, boys. But what was that?
What was that whole game? But okay, yeah. So in that moment, I had to kind of almost turn the volume up and to see if Troy and Joe were as confused as I was. And you could tell Troy Aikman wasn't giving that necessarily the full, I'm going to try to understand endorsement here, because you're right. All you have to do is spike the ball. And then you don't have to, it's chaotic as hell, because with the 12 men on the field, Denver not realizing that, he misses that field goal. Okay. The field goal was no good, but thank goodness that Buffalo had no idea what they're doing, which is kind of also an inexcusable situation there to have 12 men on the field in that situation. Again, this is more of a Buffalo conversation than Denver, but had Buffalo executed the most simplest thing there and had 11 men on the field, the fire drill that was ran there, that was completely unnecessary, loses Denver that game. I mean, the fact remains that Buffalo just was even more dumb in that situation. But when you can easily spike the football and not put your team in that state of duress, I almost, there's not many times that I am going to feel for place kickers, especially when they miss kicks that are well within their wheelhouse. Okay. I mean, that's your job. Will Lutz, he's made a career.
Place kicker.
That's true. That's true.
In the wind in Buffalo.
Yeah, and also very true.
Wow, you make it sound easy. What are you, hyper?
No, I'm not going to try to claim that I could kick that field goal. But I do not envy that situation that Will Lutz comes into, where, yeah, they get it on the hash that you want it. There's probably more time on the clock as it's winding down once you get everybody set than what you realize. But when you see everybody rushing to the line of scrimmage and you're having to basically expedite your routine, your pre-kick routine, the thing that the thing that's sort of embedded in you, and that clock is ticking faster in your head, that is a tough situation. I don't care if we're talking about even a 30-yard field goal. That is tough with how routine-oriented and sort of creatures of habit these kickers are. You're putting your kicker, not necessarily even your protection, but you're putting your kicker in that type of situation in an unnecessary state. That, to me, it's unfortunate that it was rewarded, because he misses that and they don't have 12 men on the field. That's all anybody would have been talking about today.
That Sean Payton gets rewarded.
That's what I mean. Because if they miss that, then it's all anyone's talking about. But instead, we're talking about, Buffalo, inexcusable. They have 12 men on the field. Well, yeah, but okay. And you're right. But did you see what happened before that? Tell me why that was necessary. Not to just spike the ball as opposed to, okay, we can do this.
Sean Payton, without Drew Brees, is trying to be the smartest man in the room. Now, Russell Wilson's having actually a good year.
He had a really good game.
And I was disappointed in Russell after the end of the game. I thought that he would talk about the upstate earth was able to lead them to a victory because it seeped into their souls that they were able to overcome adversity like that. And now as they get ready to come home and take on the Vikings, you have to understand that we don't like the Vikings because of the earth that they took from other people. I was missing that. But I'll give credit where credit's due. Russell Wilson has been okay this year. His numbers aren't bad.
No, they're not bad. And he actually, he kind of did some old Russ things, some freelance type stuff.
Sean McDermott, you bailed out Sean Payton. Patrick Mahomes was able to tell you everything Payton was going to do when he was on the Manning cast, which was amazing.
Right.
And Mahomes is Mahomes, but he told you verbatim what Payton was going to run, which is a little bit scary. I mean, a quarterback that does not play for you and has never played for you, but has played against you.
Coming for Romo's job.
He was able to diagnose every single thing that Payton was going to do. So Sean Payton got bailed out a lot. So there's the dumb part. Then there's the ugly part of what the Buffalo Bills have become, because they've got a Josh Allen problem. And it's not all on Josh Allen. I think they got a Sean McDermott problem more than anything, because he's taken over the defense and they don't run the ball. They stopped running the ball last night. And Josh Allen has become Mr. Turnover guy. And I can't hear you if you're saying, oh, man, the Bills, man, that Super Bowl window. That Super Bowl window is closed. That Super Bowl window with Josh Allen closed when Brian Dable took the Giants job and was no longer the offensive coordinator. Because Josh Allen for a year and a half has not looked good at all.
Yeah.
The lasting scene that I thought, damn, Buffalo is right there, is that shootout back and forth with Patrick Mahomes in the AFC. That was that the AFC Championship? No, that was just that was a divisional round.
Felt like a championship.
It did, and that back and forth. I mean, that's where you looked at Josh Allen and you looked at that Bills team led by Josh Allen. Said they're right there. I mean, that's a team that is right there.
I said this is the new rivalry. This is a new Cowboys 49ers.
This is going to be exactly. This is going to be your playoff. This is going to be your playoff matchup for years to come because those two teams, those two organizations continue to build around the quarterback. They're going to have everything that they need. And yet we've seen one team hold up their end of the bargain, and that's Kansas City Chiefs. Buffalo since then, and I think you're right about Dable. When you think about how that offense functioned in the consistency, it's kind of funny because we talk a lot about this with on a much lower level of Nebraska, the lack of flow with that type of offense that still does have a quarterback that's going to make you plays. But you mentioned like the running game. If you're watching there towards the end of the game, and I understand Denver's playing probably a little bit different defensive concept there, but like James Cook is running wild at the end there. So you have between Latavius Murray and James Cook, you have more than capable running backs. Josh Allen himself is a guy that brings another element to the quarterback position with a strong arm, but that athleticism as well, that sometimes maybe they lean on that too much. It's just there's nothing that when I've watched at least this year, and you could probably go back to moments last year too, when you watch Buffalo's offense and what the guys that they have with what they're really trying to, again, flow. I'll go back to just that word flow. When you watched him 2 years ago and when Brian Daboll was there, it was a thing of beauty. Like the way that they would utilize everything they had, whether we're talking about the running game and even some of, I'm not one that wants to see a quarterback get beat up, but even some of the design quarterback runs that they would use Josh Allen with too were always seemed to be, for the most part, in an appropriate time of the game as well. It just right now, between the protection, between what they're trying to do offensively, and then Josh Allen, hey, look, if things aren't going well, he is a turnover machine. What was it last night? I think it's 26th.
He dropped the ball. He's running.
Yeah, and that's when you know, like, something's not registering right there too. But yeah, that's 26 games now with multiple turnovers. So, yeah, just watching that team, it's not like lack of their roster just isn't the same. They've got good players. I
think they got a lot of issues.
Yeah, they do.
I think they have a lot of issues on the sideline. I think they got issues in the locker room. I think they've lost trust of their head coach, who got away from running the football, which they, as you alluded to, they were very successful. They don't look like a very good football team. And I know they've had some injuries, and Matt Milano on defense is a big reason. But defensively, they played well last night.
Mm-hmm.
It was their offense, and they came out flat, and they have such a weird. I don't know. Buffalo is a team that shows up a lot on over the air TV. The game you get on Channel 3 or Channel Fox. So I've watched a lot of Bills games this year. Their offense in the first half has no direction.
It's clunky.
Like they turn around and they rally in the second half. But yeah, in the first half,
there's no flow.
I don't know if you're like a Miami Dolphin fan. How are you feeling after watching the Bills play last night? All of a sudden, the Dolphins are 0-2 against teams that have a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs and I mehave that's like the reality of you used to think the Bills would be a good victory for you. They're in trouble, and they've got a difficult schedule from here on out. They have to play Kansas City here in a couple of weeks. They are in danger of not making the playoffs.
Yeah. When you see,
I would not have thought that when you see that crazy AFC Championship game with the Bills and the Chiefs. I'm like, man, this is going to be a rivalry forever. It's been replaced by the Bengals, but the Bills might not make the playoffs.
Right. I mean, when you watch,
the Bengals just lost a game that they blew.
Yeah, that one I almost want to just give more kudos to D'Amico Ryans in Houston, the way
Chiefs
that they're playing
Texans,
right now.
AFC
But I mean, guys, I get it. Denver now has gone back-to-back wins with the Chiefs and the Bills, but Denver's 4-5, Buffalo's 5-5.
Yeah.
That's all you really need to know right
Broncos' playoff hopes are still alive, but they're still the Broncos, and they still got Sean Payton as their head coach.
Well, yeah, and watching last night, okay, but we'll just be fair to Denver here.
No.
Okay,
we're not.
Their playoff hopes are still alive. You're watching that game, though. Is there really anything there that makes you think, damn, Denver's turned a corner? No, it was bad football. It was really, really bad football.
Yeah, I was thinking the AFC should get an apology from the NFC for not holding up the shield. But then you have two AFC teams that play that game last night. And I'm like, hold off on that hot take until later in the week. All right, welcome in, everybody. Mornings with Sharp and Handley, and Jimmy here as well on this Tuesday. Let me give you the lineup. Tell your friends over in Council Bluffs, Justin Camrad, who's the head football coach at Lewis Central. They're headed to the Dome in Cedar Falls for the state championship game coming up on Thursday. He'll join us straight up at 7. Sam McEwen stops by at 7:30. We're going to revisit something with old Sammy Mack. So he vehemently disagrees with me about a quarterback in the portal and not being able to afford it.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring that up again for the 24 season, among other things, after a very candid Matt Rhule and a very, this is my read, may not be other people's read, a very ticked off Matt Rhule yesterday. Sammy Mack will join us coming up at 7:30. Brian Christopherson stops by at 9, and Andy Kendi at 9:40. So there's the dumb, which I'm surprised in this day and age, that word, that the dum-dums have not been canceled. The popular lollipop.
Oh yeah, the dum-dums, yeah.
Yeah. And you don't see them as much. They're not as popular. Like if there's candy at the front counter here, and there's like there's a Butterfinger and there's like a Snickers and maybe a Reese's, and then there's a bunch of dum-dums in there. The dum-dums are at the bottom and they're going to stay there for a while, and they might actually melt to the bottom of the bucket. But dum-dums used to be like the thing.
The dum-dums are for the little kids.
You'd go to the dentist office or you go to the bank. The bank was the place where they would, they'd see kids in the car and they would slip you some dum-dums. Yep. Wouldn't it have been great if Sean
Would he
Payton,
like a sucker?
Wouldn't it have been great if Sean Payton would have shown up at their post-game press conference last night sucking on a dum-dum?
Yeah. That should become his trademark.
Dumb wins. I don't advise that for the boys and girls out there, but Dumb won last night. Ugly also wins.
Oh yeah.
So if you watched the Monday night game and you were watching the Nebraska Rider game at the same time, my apologies. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You probably have a migraine. But Nebraska, in what was a Monday night non-con, the building was sleepy.
Yeah.
There was no air in the basketball. They actually took the air out of the basketball, so it was very difficult to shoot.
Yeah, it would have been. That's why they're having issues dribbling the basketball.
13 of 53 combined in the second half.
Gross.
A 9-minute scoring drought for Ryder.
Hey, but it's
like literally 9 minutes.
Nebraska men's sports have become all about defense.
That's right, baby.
Wait till we get to the spring, and Nebraska is going to win a bunch of 2-1 baseball games.
Yep.
But last night,
get some no-nos in there.
It was a sleepy game. Thank God that Tominaga was back, because other than that, there was no juice. So Nebraska found a way to win because Ryder just basically ran out of gas. And Nebraska did play good defense, but that was kind of an ugly game. So we're on a stretch of some dumb and some ugly, and I can't recall a sports season that has ever had those words used as much.
Dumb and ugly.
Yeah, dumb and ugly.
Yeah.
And that's not a way to go through life. Sometimes you can't fix that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just you're born with it.
That's true.
But sometimes,
you don't evolve.
Sometimes you have to recruit so that you're not dumb and you're not ugly.
That's true too. This is why recruiting is very essential. Not just to making your team better, but just to become a more smart team.
I think that, Jimmy, that's what I'm going to become. When I retire here shortly, I'm going to retire. I really am. I'm thinking about this.
So you guys are talking about retirement on Sunday.
This is 2 straight days that I've thought about retiring. I'm going to be a life coach. I'll advise
people
you guys.
People pay good money.
Coach.
People pay good money for that.
Yeah, life coaches, and some are frauds.
I'm sure.
I'm like, I read your website. Nice cut and paste.
What do you think your biggest area of expertise as Gary the life coach would be?
Don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb.
Don't be stupid.
And that's what it would say right there on the webpage.
Use common sense.
Yep.
All right. Have fun.
Punt.
Run the ball.
Live, laugh, love, and punt. Those are the 4 things in life, and you're fine.
Okay. Could you give Spencer Petras some advice? He's going to the transfer portal.
Hey, I'll give him some advice. Go find yourself an FCS program and go ball out, boy.
That's right. Absolutely. Don't always have to be at the Power 5 level when you're coming from a Power 5 school.
All right. The lineup brought to you by the rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. All right. When we come back, yesterday in Lincoln, Matt Rhule spoke. He agrees with me. He liked that play. He liked that play call.
You did.
I just didn't like the team that
There's
was running
that. A lot of things he said in that sequence that you brought up yesterday too. I think Matt was listening to you.
So, well, hey, I give him credit. I think so. In a discussion we had in the summer, I get the impression that he is fascinated with the coverage of Nebraska football.
Mm-hmm.
So he pays attention, and that's okay.
Good morning, Matt.
He's an ear to the ground guy.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, he handled it like a pro would. He always seems to use those Mondays as to get a point across. Like he'll take a question and he'll all of a sudden answer it in his way so that he gets his point across. And so he did that yesterday.
And he'll even say, I know I'm not answering your question, but.
But I do give.
Take out the pen and paper.
Because coaches will say to you, I don't listen to anything you say. I don't listen to anything you write. Well.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
But then their actions would tell you otherwise.
And it's okay to. Okay, you're human. And I give. So the conversation in the summer was, I think Rhule appreciates the coverage. I think now he's starting to realize that every little thing is discussed, but he's fascinated by the amount of coverage and the angles.
Yeah.
So when he went into that yesterday, I was like, okay, you know what? Matt Rhule is an ear to the guy ground. And that's okay. Because in those settings on Monday, you get the transparency, you get some candor. And I'll tell you two quick takeaways from just listening to his words and watching his body language. He's not happy. You can say, hey, I'm not talking about a bowl game. I'm talking about the process. But he knows deep down inside that they could be and should be better than 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 3 losses by 3 points, and you turn the ball over 12 times in those 3 losses. 10 of them were by your quarterback. So he knows. And then there's the other part of yesterday, which is a good sign moving forward. He's a competitor. He is a competitor. He does not like to lose.
Yeah.
And so if you're wondering, why didn't he fire Satterfield at a press conference yesterday just off of a question from a reporter? Doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to stand pat. Doesn't mean you can fire people.
Yeah.
But doesn't going to be like, hey, let's run this back.
Yeah.
He showed me he got a little competitive juice in him. Good on him yesterday. And I'm okay with he's an ear to the ground type of guy.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do at a place like that because especially if things go sideways, everything is discussed. And if you're not used to it, you're like, whoa, come on.
Well, and ear to the ground guy could be, it could be, I think, a good thing and a bad thing. In a Matt Rhule case, I think it's a good thing. It could be a bad thing is if you allow that to impact any of your decision making because you're trying to appease other people.
Well, if you do that, you should have never been hired in that role anyhow.
No, I don't know how you could be necessarily a Power 5 coach if you're that person, especially now. But I think with Matt Rhule, from the sake of where anybody you talk to knows that everything in the program that's external or internal, he knows about, he signs off on it. There's nothing that you're going to be able to present to Matt Rhule about what people are saying or what the narrative is about his football program without him having at least an idea of that. And the reason I say that that's a good thing is I think that especially in times like this where there is a lot of bullets being fired at members of your coaching staff or certain players or certain areas of the football team that you have. I know it's impossible to insulate your players from that completely, but you know how to sort of motivate them around that. You know how to sort of try to change that narrative internally around that. I think it's always good to be sort of ahead of that conversation. I think absolutely. As long as you're not dwelling on be like, well, so-and-so saying this about you, but this what? No, you're not doing that. But you know how to kind of approach each day based on the climate because these guys aren't stupid. They know what's going on as well.
They're aware of the discourse.
Yeah, they know what's happening.
I mean, I think he took it a step too much on the Satterfield stuff about firing him. I mean, Steve has already tweeted out this morning, and he says, I can't be the only Husker fan pissed off what comes out of Rhule's mouth about coaches yesterday. Someone better knows Rhule to Callahan's blind spot, Cosgrove.
Mm-hmm.
When has Rhule thrown anybody under the bus publicly? Previous staffer on his own team. He's not going to do that.
No,
he's got 2 or 3 games left. Hey, he knows issues they have. And he has to own the whole Sims thing. But he's not going to publicly crush Satterfield. I mean, internally, behind closed doors, right. I'm sure it's a different story, but not publicly. He hasn't done that, so why would he do it yesterday? But the fact that he is aware of it, I have faith because he's a professional that he will not stand pat on finding people that where their best roles are. Not necessarily firing people, but maybe you find out what their role is differently. But publicly, I'm not surprised that he didn't go after his OC. I mean, he fell on the sword for a lot of people yesterday. I mean, I'm surprised that Matt Rhule is not all bandaged up because there was a sword there and he dove on it. There was a sword over there and he dove on it. But that's what a guy that's in charge of a football program is to do. He took accountability. Now, we'll talk more about accountability when the season is over, but I don't know. Yesterday was typical Matt Rhule day. I mean, he's ear to the ground guy. He's aware of the discourse, and he fell on the sword as a leader should, or mostly does, and he just kept it moving. Now, his biggest issue is who's playing quarterback on Saturday night, because I think the guy that he would like to play quarterback will not be the starting quarterback.
I would agree. And I thought there was something.
But Nick, you can't just leave it there. You have to fill in the blanks. We'll save that. We'll come back.
All right.
I mean, the guy that Rhule would like to play quarterback Saturday night will not be his starting quarterback. That's my opinion off of something he said yesterday. We will discuss. Justin Camrad, head football coach at Lewis Central, joins us at the top of the hour. Man, we started with dumb, ugly. Thank God we're going to have good-looking offensive basketball tonight between Iowa and Creighton.
Yep. That's true. And actually really good college basketball period tonight. We got the Champions Classic as well. So you got a lot of
the state of Illinois is the place to be because Marquette and Illinois play tonight as part of the Gavitt games.
That Illinois team that beat Kansas in an exhibition game.
That Big East.
Yep.
You don't mess with the Big Ten. Is Patino 103, 104? God, he looks old.
But a vampire, like old.
Well, I mean,
watching them get beat by Michigan last night.
When you feed off of other people's blood, you still do survive.
Worked for Bill Snyder.
Supposed to make you look a little more youthful, though.
Yeah. All right. We'll discuss the quarterback position and what is ahead of the 6:30 kickoff in Madison. Well, Nebraska has not won since they've been a member of the Big Ten, and they've not won since 1966. Jimmy will tell you about that day in 1966, what was going on when Nebraska won against Wisconsin and Madison.
Gas was cheap.
Yes, it was.
Come on, guys. Joel Stavi, don't ever forget that game either.
38 past the hour. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Betting on your favorite sporting events just got a whole lot easier. Warhorse Sportsbook is now open in Omaha. Save yourself the drive across the river and put your money where your mouth is at Horseman's Park, 6303 Q Street. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scotts Bluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Salvation Army is now taking reservations for Turkey Fest. This citywide effort brings free Thanksgiving meals to Omaha seniors in need. If you're 60 or older and in need of a Thanksgiving meal, you can sign up from now through November 16th. Just call 402-898-6023. Phone lines are open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to noon and 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Again, the number to call, 402-898-6023. That's 402-898-6023.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's hot outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink icy cold, Nebraska-brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
There's nothing like football season here in Nebraska. Hi, this is Sunny.
And I'm Darwin with DJ's Dugout.
During football season, a portion of our sales at DJ's will be donated to the new Nebraska Vietnam Veterans Memorial Project being built in Papillion.
As a Vietnam veteran, I'm proud for DJ's to support the new Nebraska Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
To learn more about this meaningful project, visit nvvmf.org. DJ's Dugout is locally and Vietnam veteran owned.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, so TC into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally, and you can email us at any time of the day.
He had a good one. A couple of good ones, but the first one, yeah.
He's serious today. Usually he's jokey joke guy.
Yeah.
Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley at 1620thezone.com.
My mother told me not to tell someone to shut up, be quiet, or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's true.
I think I got in trouble for using the word shut up.
I don't know how we got into this with Reese because he was doing shut up a lot.
Big Lincoln Park fan?
Yeah, not yet, but someday. We got him. I don't know how this, again, it makes no sense at all, but we got him to start saying, instead of shut up, go make a pizza. So if he doesn't like what you're saying, he would normally in a conversation you'd say shut up, he just says go make a pizza.
So at daycare, he's obsessed with pizza. I don't know what it is.
And he doesn't even like pizza, so I don't know. But so that's going around the Handley household when we get a little frustrated. Go make a pizza.
You're gonna have someone that's gonna work at Little Caesars.
Yeah, hey, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah. Go make a pizza.
I had two older brothers that worked at Valentino's. They'd come home with lasagna and pizza. It was great.
I've never known anybody that's worked at Valentino's.
Really?
Wow.
Never.
Out of all the people you knew in Lincoln too during your college days, and not one person.
No one that ever worked at Valentino's.
That would have been clutch too.
It was nice.
But you guys had the liquor store across the street. So that
is it bad though? I got more excited when they brought home lasagna and not pizza because the lasagna. I don't know why. Growing up, maybe I just liked lasagna back then. It was really good.
Yeah, you and
they're at the old Grand Buffet on 108th too.
I've maybe one time had Valentino's pizza, like pick it up for dinner.
Yeah.
I'm a buffet guy, and now the buffets essentially are gone.
What's this all about? What's this all about?
You okay with it?
Yeah, I almost choked on some coffee. But
yeah.
I did. I got a little bit lost in the moment. What's this all about if we can't have our buffets anymore, especially like Godfather's buffet, KFC buffet? You want to get rid of those things?
Golden
What are we doing?
Corral on 72nd.
Oh, the Corral.
Joe, by Golden Corral Sunday night. That place was packed at 6 o'clock.
Looked like Shields the day before Christmas.
Is Golden Corral a good place to go on Thanksgiving? You know, there are some restaurants that are open on Thanksgiving Day, but is Golden Corral like the place? Could you get away with saying, you know what? We're not going to cook. We're not going to have to clean up the house.
We're going to go to the community meal.
I don't want you all sleeping.
We're going to the Corral
on my couch or crawling into my bed to sleep. We're going to the Golden Corral.
We're going to GC.
Would you be fired up at a buffet like that for Thanksgiving, or would you be solely disappointed?
If I was young,
I'm sure they have all Everything you want, they would be at the Golden Corral.
Hell, they probably have things that if you're not a fan of like things that are strictly Thanksgiving food, they probably have other options for you as well. If I'm a young kid, oh, hell yeah, I'm excited because I can eat as much as I want and whatever I want. I'm not limited to the Thanksgiving menu. As I would get older, though, I would be disappointed, yes. Because I also appreciate being able to go from table to recliner and nap.
I'm a big fan of a restaurant on Thanksgiving.
Really?
Well, most of the time I've been on the road on
that's
Thanksgiving.
True. Yeah.
But I don't mind a restaurant on Thanksgiving if it is well known and
if it's accommodating for the Thanksgiving
if
theme.
If they have a chef.
Yeah.
Not like Tim from down the street that is the chef because he works 9 to 6.
Right. It's his shift
like
today.
It's like Luis.
Yeah.
Luis is the chef. I'm there for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That like Luis is especially there on Thanksgiving because he or she takes a lot of pride into what they do on Thanksgiving for the folks that have to be on the road and want a home cooked meal. Yeah, they're gone.
And
I'm with you.
I'm bougie. I'm probably only going to go to a restaurant on Thanksgiving if it's a place that takes reservations.
I'm actually taking mental notes here because we're trying to think of what we want to do.
If you're open on Thanksgiving and you're worth your salt, you probably have to take reservations. So I can understand that. I don't think that's bougie.
I don't think they take reservations at the Corral.
No. Come one, come all, anytime.
Hey, if
We've got you covered.
If I was running the Golden Corral and I had a buffet open for Thanksgiving, I'd also wheel in some TVs.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to watch football?
Yeah.
You want to watch Al Roker at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade while you're eating and you're standing in line at the carving station? We got you covered. TC also adds, whose 12th man paid more, Buffalo's or Texas A&M?
Definitely A&M.
How about Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson once again benefited from the 12th man.
He did. Yep. That is true.
Justin Camrad coming up here in a little bit. Head football coach at Lewis Central. They're headed off to the Dome. The Nebraska high school football state championships are next Monday and Tuesday in Lincoln. And if you've not heard, we will carry the A and B final right here on 1620 The Zone. Jimmy Allen, Connor Happer will join me from Memorial Stadium next Monday and Tuesday. At Memorial Stadium yesterday, the head man talked. His DC going to get paid, and his OC going to get run out of town. We'll be speaking today, but the quarterbacks are always an issue because, as you know, quarterbacks, they control everything. Look at Josh Allen controls everything. Tom Brady controlled everything. It just changes how you go about your daily business or you operate your franchise or your football program, whatever. So quarterbacks around here, of course, because 3 losses that involve 3 points, involve 12 turnovers, and 10 of them have been by the quarterbacks. Harburg, Sims, 21 of your 27 turnovers. Yep. If you not know that stat, you know it now. I think everybody that follows Nebraska football can recite that stat. But yesterday, Matt Rhule addressed the quarterback issue. So I posed the question to you, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Who would Matt Rhule like to play at quarterback at 6:30 on Saturday night against Wisconsin? Not who is available,
right?
But who do you think Matt Rhule would like to play against Wisconsin?
I would say Heinrich Harburg.
And I'm with you because I think he gives you the best chance to win. So there is the risk of 2 guys against the unknown risk of another guy.
Yes.
I have a feeling this is just, I have no inside knowledge. I haven't stayed in a Holiday Inn in a long time. I actually haven't been to a doctor in many, many years. So my medical knowledge is only what I get from the internet and sports. Man, I wonder if we're going to see Harburg for a while.
Yeah,
because
bad ankle sprain.
So his best asset is running the football.
Right.
And if you have a bad ankle sprain, I don't know how good you are. If that trumps your other thing that you have to do as a quarterback, I don't know how you wheel a guy out there. So if Harburg doesn't play the rest of the regular season, it would not surprise me. Now, they would love to have him back, but if he can't run, you can't put him out there.
No.
Because he's already a little skittish.
Yes.
But that's who I think Matt Rhule would like to play.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have to start. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? Remember, it's the risk against the unknown risk.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Sims.
Yep.
Figured that's where it was going.
All
right, have the game
and
of his
if
life.
and to kind of add to the point of who would Matt Rhule prefer to start and who he might have to start, when he was directly asked about the quarterback situation yesterday, let's put all three out there, okay? Because he mentioned Heinrich Haarberg, bad ankle sprain. Chuba Purdy, a little banged up after taking the hits on that last, and he's been dealing with an injury. Although at one point, kind of later on, when we were talking about some of the mistakes from the quarterbacks, he did mention that Chuba Purdy is a little bit more healthy now than he was, whatever that means. But he specifically said one guy's banged up, or one guy's got a bad ankle injury, another guy's banged up, and then he says Sims is healthy. And didn't say anything else. He didn't say like, so that's good. Like, didn't
Jeff Sims has been shot into oblivion
Yes.
in the football program, but you might need him for a couple of games.
And for the sole purpose of trying to figure out something offensively that can get you to the finish line, get to a bowl game, what does that look like with Jeff Sims is beyond me right now, because the physical part of it, I think, is not even close to the mental part of it right now for Jeff Sims. But I just thought it was very interesting and very telling when he says, quarterback A has a bad ankle sprain. See if he can do anything today. Quarterback B came out of the game a little banged up. He's banged up from being hit. Quarterback C is healthy. We'll go through the week and we'll probably come right up to game day. So you would think if all three, again, can give you a good chance to win a football game, that you would be all in on number 7, that you would be putting all the reps on him, which I'm sure he's getting a lot because of what Heinrich Haarberg can and can't do this week, physically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming even if Chuba Purdy is in the mix of this conversation, you're probably trying to limit him because you don't want him to re-aggravate the groin injury, because he's still, even if Jeff Sims starts, he might have to play. So, and probably will have to play. So by just saying one of these guys is healthy, but then not going any further than that, there was no vote of confidence there. Tells you all you need to know about the very difficult situation that this offense already was in with the quarterback play that they have between all three, but now that they probably are in going into Saturday.
I don't have no cry for me, Argentina, about the quarterback situation. Matt Rhule and Marcus Satterfield did it to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they got to own it. Okay, and they got to fix it. Unfortunately, the guy that they had that was their fixer, between his ears, man, it is like the ocean.
Yeah,
and it's
tough to watch.
Unfortunate to see.
Yeah.
Okay. For a guy that, man, we kind of got to know in the summer, and we're like, okay,
right.
Well, it isn't happening. Okay, he's a turnover machine on a program that's what they do. But going into the game against Wisconsin, which I don't know what you have left in your playbook to say, hey, let's try this new thing this week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've kind of exhausted everything.
Yeah.
It almost makes more sense because I don't know how many pitches you have in Chuba Purdy.
Right.
Remember, all of a sudden we got, oh my God, he's battling a groin injury. He's supposed to have surgery this week. What?
Yeah.
Parents are surprised that he's in the game. So how much do you have left out of him? Isn't it better to have him as the backup of, oh boy, he is our ripcord, compared to Purdy starts, gets hurt, and then you're stuck with Sims?
Right.
So there is no good option. There's the risk against the unknown risk. And Haarberg is your best guy. Sims, I think, is your starter on Saturday night against Wisconsin. And then you figure out, what are the fewest number of passes that Nebraska could throw against Wisconsin and still win a Big Ten game at night in a game to go to a bowl game?
8. 4. I'm just using the amount of passes that they threw against Nebraska in the Big Ten championship. So I'll go 8.
Don't you guys look at Nebraska's issues with turnovers and throwing interceptions? Don't you, without looking at stats, go, man, Nebraska throws the ball a lot. No, they don't.
It seems like it sometimes, but yeah.
They actually have 25 fewer pass attempts than Iowa.
Right.
They are like a service academy.
And that is the amount.
Except service academies are somewhat disciplined and they don't turn the ball over.
And that amount of passes that they actually throw that are still below average are winding up in the hands of your opponents.
So you guys are saying.
So give me the number of the fewest passes that you think this offense, and it's an offense that you have to design to win a football game
Mm-hmm.
when you know that your defense is going to keep you competitive against an offense that also is struggling.
Yeah.
What is the fewest number of passes you think Saturday night Nebraska could throw and still win a game and still be able to have an offensive lineman of 5 go, hey, can you guys block 10 guys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The fewest number of passes, are we at like 8?
Yeah.
Is 8 the minimum number of passes that Nebraska could go to Madison and throw and be okay?
Go 7 of 10.
I was in the 10
Safe
in the 10 to 12 range. No more than 12 though.
Safe pass to the tight end.
So yeah, minimum wise, 8's probably fine. I would say closer to 10 to 12.
8 to 12 passes?
Yeah.
If Jeff Sims is your guy,
how many of those?
20 to 22 runs by Jeff Sims.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, going back to.
And hold on. Go. When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Oh, good play. When's it going to happen? Good play.
Right. So the game will be over. Okay. So
Tony White save us.
So you bring up something that I was thinking exactly the same thing of even, and we kind of saw this on Saturday.
That you want Tony White to save us?
Well, that too. That's a given.
Can he call plays?
He has it. He kind of has it rolling.
There's a jar out at the local Casey's for Tony White.
This is
donate to save
guys. This is where we are with the quarterback
NIL.
when it comes to Jeff Sims out there. You might get 4 or 5 good plays or plays that don't result in a turnover, but as a fan now, you're trained. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're like, okay, things are almost going too good right now. When's it going to happen? Okay, that's one thing for pessimistic fans to think of that have been through it and have seen it. Do any of us right now think that also might be the thought process of Jeff Sims? Of, hey, I got this rolling, sweet, not even a care in the world? Or is he like, okay, that one went well. All right, now to the next one. Like, I'm sorry, that maybe isn't fair to him, but that's what I think, not just the fans, but he's thinking.
Yeah, insurance man Grant might have the idea here. Whatever the Matt Turman game in 94 Manhattan.
Yes. Unfortunately, a much better offensive line and a more dominant running game.
Do you think that T.O. is in Rhule's office today?
Helping him.
Here's how you can do it.
Do you think he's like, you ought to call Wiegert, Zadiska, see if they have any eligibility?
Well, remember, Brooke Berger played in that game and he was banged up.
We do.
So you could bring in Chubba Purdy in relief even if he's banged up.
Finish the hour. Here is Chip. Chip, good morning. Thanks for the call.
Good morning, guys. Great show as always.
Thank you.
I was just calling in to see if you could walk me off the ledge here a little bit.
Try.
So I'm going to say right off the bat, I was a huge Casey Thompson fan. I understand he had the shoulder surgery in the off season, but when Casey Thompson dropped back to pass last season, I did not hold my breath.
True.
Like I do with these quarterbacks. I will also say I was a huge fan of the Matt Rhule hire. I thought, with his history of building programs, it's exactly what we needed. But when he, and obviously I don't really understand the whole situation, but when Casey Thompson left and we brought in Sims, I was a little concerned, but I figure, Rhule knew more than we did and he understood what he was getting with Sims. And then again, in the off season, he told us Anthony Grant was buried on the depth chart because he fumbled too much and how he wanted Gabe Ervin to be the hammer to close out games.
Mm-hmm.
We saw what happened at the end of the Minnesota game. And I'm not sure how much input I feel like there are certain situations where it would be great if he were to get into Satterfield's ear and maybe put on the brakes. Let's play a little bit more situational football. Last game, we were throwing downfield into a 20-mile-an-hour wind with 3 different quarterbacks who don't really throw the football really well. I still love the Matt Rhule hire. There's certain things that concern me. I'm just really, really hoping that it's first-year jitters and first-year, kind of getting used to a new program, getting used to maybe some new coaches. Just kind of wanted to see what you guys thought. Appreciate it. Great show.
Hey, thank you, Chip. Can I say one thing before you answer those questions,
Yes.
Nick? Because you're eagerly over there banging on the keyboard. Nebraska's 5-5. You know what is wild about this season? Actually, I'm having fun. This is a fun season.
Better than last year.
You're a
You guys are
masochist.
giving me the stink eye.
Yeah, you're a masochist.
No, I don't think.
No,
you're-
no,
this is
I know what you're
actually-
saying.
This is actually a fun season to cover, to follow. They're 5-5. They go to Wisconsin this week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what is one of the least talked about topics for a couple of weeks now? Offensive line. Okay. I just want to throw that out there, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, that
now you can
the
answer
joy of that.
questions on Chip's call.
To
Talk Chip off the ledge. So be Mr. Psychologist there, Mr.
Well,
Henry.
I don't know if I can tell you anything that's going to paint a pretty picture for the remainder of this season because of the quarterback decision. And this goes back to something you brought up, and we've been saying it all along. You make that decision at quarterback, you've got to live with it. And it's a trickle-down effect because of how it's now impacted that entire room of missing on Jeff Sims and then Heinrich Harburg, who's had to basically develop as a starter while taking starter reps in a season, and then Chubba Purdy, who has been injured throughout the year. So that has had the trickle-down effect. So as far as the confidence in Matt Rhule, yeah, I don't think there's anything about this year right now other than, yes, being able to evaluate quarterback and knowing that they're going to have to probably do that. Not probably, they are going to have to do that in the offseason again, but also how it pertains to his handling of the coaching staff. And he even said that yesterday. He talked about that yesterday as far as the buck stops with him. That's all on him. And of course, he's going to say that. Where I'm confident, and maybe this is a part of talking Chip off the ledge a little bit, where I'm confident is the conversations that he has with his coaching staff. He holds everybody accountable. He does that internally. That's not something he's going to bring out to the public, but he holds them all accountable. He is somebody, and I would agree with you in your assessment of this is a competitor. He understands that despite all those things, all those mistakes going on right now, they're a 5-win team right now. They could maybe still get to 6 wins. If they do that, you're going to look at everything that kept you from being a 6-win team to an 8-win team, or if you stay at 5 wins, what could have got him to 8 or 9 wins? You're going to look at all of those things. And this is something that Matt Rhule has a reputation of doing. So I don't think there's anything that I've watched this season be like, I don't think they made the right decision with Matt Rhule. This is a very unique season in a lot of ways with injuries, but also I go back to the biggest thing on his ledger in the negative column, and that is who they identified a quarterback and how that has set things in kind of a spiral offensively.
For a guy that has never publicly thrown people under the bus and has kept it above board, and because he didn't do that yesterday, everybody relax, okay? Judge on actions when the season is over.
Yes. 100%.
Thank you.
This is the same thing. Same thing last week when he talked about not only developing Heinrich Harburg for this year, but for years ahead. Everyone's like, wait a minute. So you're not going to go to the transfer portal? The Heinrich Harburg is the quarterback for the next 2 years? What's his alternative? What is he going to say right then and there?
My beef is they had no plan B for quarterback.
You're right.
Okay, they went everything on Sims. They went all the reps in the spring. They went all the reps in the summer. You got to own it now. Okay, fix it. I'll give you a mulligan. You didn't have a plan B. That's the 1 strike. We give you 3 strikes, and then we send you the unemployment line. I'm kind of kidding. But judge actions in the offseason, not right now, because for a guy, people would have, I tell you what, I would have called out Matt Rhule as the biggest hypocrite if yesterday he would have thrown guys under the bus.
Absolutely.
That's not what he's doing publicly. Okay. You know how this works, everybody. You say the right thing publicly, and behind, when nobody is looking, is when you really see the form of leadership. All right. There we go. There's my TED Talk. I'm not angry.
No.
I just want to stop that where this conversation might be headed this morning. A good conversation is coming up. Justin Camrad, head football coach at Council Bluffs Lewis Central. He's next.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a delay from 94th to 90th along Dodge. Then on Industrial Road, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown near 138th. And other than that, it looks like your commute this morning should be pretty smooth, even if you're running a bit late. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Sometimes life throws you a curveball and you need a solution fast. A solution to help you make payroll, to save your house, to keep growing, or fund a startup, to fix a roof or other major repair. Saul's is your fast, local, confidential solution. Get the cash you need today with Saul's.
Well, hey, it's Oliver Anthony. Me and Joey and the fellas are coming to your town. We're going to pet some dogs and sing some songs.
June 16th, West Fair Amphitheater.
So go ahead now. Tell your mama and your papa, your grandmammy and them. Just tell all them to come on. See you soon.
Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com.
Do you hear what we hear? Omaha Steaks has tons of jobs and hours. Right now, we're hiring for a variety of seasonal positions in our warehouses. Make this holiday extra jolly with a great employee discount on gourmet foods you can use all year long. To view available job openings and to apply online, go to omahasteaks.com/jobs or text steaks to 22633 to apply today. 'Tis the season to make some holiday cash at Omaha Steaks.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
If you drive through your neighborhood and think, pretty house, ew, my house. Time to call Great Plains Home Exteriors. They transform homes like yours all over Nebraska. Great Plains Home Exteriors offers so many different window brands and styles to fit every home and budget. They also install gutters and gutter guards so you never have to clean your gutters again. Great Plains Home Exteriors will make your home feel like a part of the neighborhood. Free estimate at gphomeomaha.com.
Everyone, Josh Peterson here from my friends at Kugler Vision. If you have money sitting in your flex plan or in your health savings account, it is time for an early holiday gift for yourself. Enjoy the holiday season and beyond with crisp, clear vision that you deserve from Kugler Vision. Schedule an eye analysis today by giving them a call at 402-558-2211 or visiting their website, kuglervision.com. Book that appointment now at kuglervision.com.
Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620, The Zone.
All right, coming up on Thursday night over in Cedar Falls at the Unidome, it is the Class 4A state championship game for Iowa high school football. Council Bluffs Lewis Central is back in the Dome for the third straight year, and their great head coach, Justin Camrad, joins us now. Coach, first of all, congratulations. I know it has been a journey this year to get back to the Dome, but congratulations on making it to the final against Western Dubuque on Thursday night, and welcome to the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate it having us on, and, excited to talk about our guys here and everything else, and appreciate everything you do.
Hey, so, I'm a big fan of your program, and you're churning out guys that are playing at the next level, whether it be Division I to junior college all over, and you guys have a standard. But when you start the year like you did with a couple of losses and maybe you're 500 through 4 games and now you're battling some injuries, how is your program built to work through those challenges where a lot of teams would knock them off their path? Instead, it seemed like you guys got stronger and got to your intended goal is to make it to the opportunity to win a championship.
Yeah, I think the first thing for us, you talk about our standard is, the preparation of each and every one of our guys. Our coach is doing a fabulous job of developing every guy in our program, just not those top guys. And, It's unfortunate, to start the season 2-2. But I'll be honest with you, in 2021 when we won the state championship, we also started the season 2-2, our schedule was extremely difficult. We have the number one schedule in the state of Iowa, in our class as far as difficulty. Our first four non-district games, consisted of four playoff teams. Two that were in the semifinals and two others that were in the quarterfinals. So, those first four games, were definitely challenging, and we sort of set it up that way. And we'd like it to be a little bit easier to break in some new guys after the guys that we lost last year. But our guys never lost focus of what the goal at hand is. We talk about each week 1-0 and getting better each and every day, and let things happen that will happen. And we knew that we would be tested early on. And after those first four games, we really sat down with our kids and our coaches and said we need to take a strong look in the mirror and find out what we have and who we do have and who we can count on. And we started to find some guys and mix some different guys in there. And then the unfortunate part of football, as we all know, is the injury part of it. And we've suffered, 7 season-ending injuries along the way.
Wow.
And 4 in our running back room, which is really difficult as much as we'd like to run the football. But for us, the next mentality for our guys, they understand that they come to practice every day and work hard and they don't want to let each other down. I think that's the biggest part of the program is they play for one another, they believe in one another, and they want to make sure that we're as successful as we can be.
Well, and Coach, I know you get one of those guys back, but I feel like in a special season, there's always going to be a player or two that you kind of circle, even if their role is diminished a little bit in that final game, that you say, okay, then that was a big part of our season right there. Is Brody Patlin that guy as far as the way that he was able to kind of hold that running back room together when you guys were just like nailed with injuries?
Yeah, unfortunately he suffered one as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so he really only played for us 4 games. He really came on after, week 3, started to play him a lot more, weeks 4, 5, and 6. And then unfortunately he was part of that group that we lost for the season. And so he was, during that mid part, he was the guy that was really starting to flourish for us and helped us get some big victories. And and then unfortunately he goes down, and then we had to find some other guys to step up and do a good job, and so for us it's one of those things that we believe in each one of our kids. We trust in each one of them, and it'd be nice to have a full slate of guys going into the game, but here's the deal, everyone's injured, everyone's beat up and got that stuff, so we can't look at that. We got to look at what we have right now on our roster and our kids. Go, you know what? Hey, we're still going to accomplish what we want.
Hey, when I watch you play during the summer in the 7-on-7, and you hold your own against the Bellevue West and the Omaha West side, and people talk about the offense, and I mean, you produce some high-level offensive guys, but this year's defense is special. I mean, those guys are really, really good on that side of the ball. What they did against North Polk, they're going to face another good offense in Western Dubuque. But one of the guys on that defense, and I don't know how you did it, but I believe, Coach, that Curtis Whitty has played in high school football for you for 8 years. Is that right?
Yeah, it sort of seems like that. Yeah, but he will have played in 36 high school football games by the time he finishes up on Thursday. In 3 years.
How has that defense been so good for you? Why has it been so good?
Well, I think the first thing you got to look at is we returned 8 guys from that starting defense a year ago. So there was a ton of experience coming back for us. Really where we lost all of our experience was up front on the defensive line. And so we returned all 4 linebackers and then 2 of the 3 of our defensive backs. And, we had some guys come into our program from elsewhere that have helped us in the secondary. Ryan Ortega has been amazing, had an unbelievable semifinal game for us. And then we were able to put together a really good defensive line. And that's where I think we're making the most money right now, is because we didn't know what we had coming in there. Garrett Rutledge, who's 6'6", 300 pounds, we lost him last year, week 4. And so we didn't have him down the stretch, and so he's a big guy in there. We actually have started a freshman, which is crazy to say, but we've done it before. We started a freshman since week 1. And Kyler McNeil, who's 6'1", 270 pounds. And then, we got a junior that's really developed, who's 6'5", 250 at the defensive end. And then, another junior who plays defensive end for us. That's also our starting center. And so we were able to find 4 really good guys that could, get after it, that are run pluggers, that are big body guys that don't get removed, which allows our linebackers to really run and flow and make plays. And then we got 4 other defensive linemen that come in certain situations We have a kid that also came in our program that led our district in sacks with 6 sacks. And, he gets after it. And we just have two different defensive lines based on, down and distance and situations where we can rotate guys. And so I think our coaches have done an unbelievable job developing our defensive line to allow those guys in the back end of our defense to really play free and have fun. And that's where our most experience is at.
I know now this for the senior class too, even though you replaced so much from the offense a year ago, the senior class now a third consecutive time that they've been to the Unidome. And so when you go through the excitement with that, but also the routine, how beneficial has that been just with a group that kind of gets it, understands what it takes to win at this time of the year?
I think it's a huge – I don't know if it's a big advantage over the other team, but I know it's a big advantage just for us from a comfort level and not being distracted by what's going on. You walk into the UNI Dome maybe as the first time, as we did several years ago. You're in awe of the place. It gets super loud. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what the day's like. Your warm-up time is shortened, and you're rushed a little bit because they want to stay on TV schedule and that kind of stuff. For our guys now, they understand our daily routine. We're going to leave early. We're going to get to the Dome 4 hours early. We're going to watch the other game in front of us for a little while, and then we're going to slowly get ourselves ready for that game instead of rushing and trying to get super excited. And so our kids are just really calm during that time. They understand that the time of it, how we're going to go through the day, how we're going to get there, and everything else. And I think it gives us an advantage to ourselves because we can be really relaxed in that environment as opposed to be stressed out and worried about it. And I guess that's the benefit of being there and understanding the layout of what the day is going to be like.
Justin Camrad, head football coach at Council Bluffs Lewis Central. His team is in the state final in Iowa Thursday night at the Unidome in Cedar Falls. They take on Western Dubuque, Class 4A, which, if you're not familiar with Iowa, is the second largest class behind 5A. The success that you've had and the players that you have sent to play all over the place and regardless of level. But what does a Max Duggan, a Thomas Fedoni, and a Logan Jones do for your current program when guys can see, hey, there's a dude that's in the running for the Heisman. There's the top tight end in the country coming out of our school. There's a guy who has been a longtime starter on the Iowa offensive line. What do they do for your program and for your current group of guys?
The biggest thing is a lot of our current guys right now were younger and saw those guys play high school football. And, we might be, in Council Bluffs, but we're a small community, out there, and we pride ourselves on that. So everybody really knows every guy that has played football for us. And so, watching them play, our kids want to be like those guys, from the time that they put pads on and they see that and they want to be Max Duggan playing quarterback or Thomas catching passes or Logan on the offensive line. And, so it's really just built and ingrained into our guys. And the best thing about it is each one of those guys continue to give back to our program in some way, in some form. And, they really care about our program. I just got a message from Max last night, excited about the game and rooting for us and that kind of stuff. And, Thomas came back and talked to our senior class during the summer, just about expectations and that kind of stuff. And Logan's always around. And so they continue to give back to our program. And I think that's a great thing, because our kids want to be like them. They want to excel at that level and be at that high level and play college football. And so, it just really means a lot to us to have someone that they can idolize and look up to and really motivate them to continue to work hard.
Coach, and we were talking about the injury situation with the running back room. And for someone like yourself, you played it at such a high level, Harlan Hill finalist. I mean, everyone knows your time at UNO and what you were able to accomplish there. Now when developing running backs and the things that you remember that kind of made you stand out compared to what it takes for a running back right now to stand out, what are some of the things that maybe are always going to be the commonalities regardless of eras, but also maybe more importantly, what are the things you're noticing that is key in developing that type of running back right now?
For us, the game has evolved so much from, I formation. And I know a lot of our smaller classes still run, some of the wing T and double wing and all that kind of stuff. But, at this level right now, it's really being about a true athlete. Can you use those guys not only in the run game, but can you use them in the passing game? They got to be able to protect. They have to have great feet and great vision. And unfortunately, the running back position, as you can get, they start using more and more of those guys. So you're going to get limited opportunities. But for us, the one thing that always stands true is you got to be tough and physical. There's not many positions that you're going to get the ball 28 times and you're running right at guys over and over. You can get the ball a lot at wide receiver, but it's out there with DBs and smaller guys. But you have to be tough. You have to be physical at the point of contact. You have to be willing to run into another body and be able to deliver a blow. And then athletically, you got to be able to make guys miss in space. And for us, we've been very fortunate in that. We've had a lot of guys that have been able to do that. And they run behind their pads, and they're tough and they're physical. And so, it's changed a little bit. But I think some of those things, you want a kid that's going to be downhill and be tough and run into people and try to score touchdowns as much as you can. So, and we've been like I said, we've been very fortunate in that running back room.
Hey, congratulations. You've been successful for a while. I'm a big fan of your program, and it should be a fun time on Thursday night. And the challenge is this year to get back to state. It's a heck of a reward, and I'm looking forward to watching you guys against Western Dubuque.
Well, I appreciate it. Winning's not easy, and I know some people think it looks easy, but winning isn't easy, and to get back to this spot is a tough task. And we're definitely excited about it, and I appreciate you having me on and talk about our program a little bit and our guys, and excited for the challenge.
Yep. Hey, congratulations, Coach. Good luck Thursday.
Absolutely. Thank you. Go Titans.
That's Council Bluffs Lewis Central head football coach Justin Cameron, who was a former UNO Maverick, well known in the area. They take on Western Dubuque. It's the number 1 and number 2 seeds in Class 4A. It's the equivalent of Class B, essentially, in the state of Nebraska. And that's 7 o'clock at the Unidome in Cedar Falls, Iowa, on the campus of Northern Iowa.
I bet it's always rocking.
You have a better chance of being able to watch the game in Chicago than you do in the state of Iowa, which is crazy.
Huh.
Yeah, they have some issues with who has the rights to their state championship events. Oh, it's a mess.
Really?
That's too bad.
Thank God for Nebraska Public Media here.
Yeah. These are problems we don't have.
Because
right
in
here.
Iowa, it's not. It used to be when I was growing up in Iowa. And by the way, Urbandale never made it to the state championship game.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, things got in the way. I think that 3-6 season.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that happens.
Public Media carried all the state championships, but then they sold the rights, and yeah, it's tough. It's tough to if being in Des Moines and watching the state championship games.
Yeah.
Like in Chicago, I think it's on Comcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, just flipping through. Hey, let's check it on the Iowa State Championship.
We got to cut this Craig Council opening press conference short because we bring to you Council Bluffs, Lewis Central, and Western Dubuque.
Chicago State Championship team.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We can update with Jimmy. Sam McEwen's going to join us here in a little bit ahead of Nebraska and Wisconsin, where Nebraska, as a member of the Big Ten, has never won at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's got some issues. Fortunately, there has been no discussion around here about the C word or the Q word. That's it was frightening to listen to Luke Fickell yesterday. And I like the hire.
I love the hire.
And I thought they would win the West. But what he is saying, man,
Clean up some mess.
Either Nebraska is going to run into an angry group of Badgers, which is something I do not advise.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're walking through Fondell Forest and there's an angry group of Badgers,
go the other way.
Yeah, you can't play dead or go
Yeah,
they'll tear your face off.
Yeah. Or they're going to walk into a group of Badgers that are just laying down. Like you have no idea what Wisconsin's going to be like. I mean, listen to Luke Fickell yesterday. I'm like, my God, I thought things were a little bit rough around here.
Yeah.
Rhule at least is not talking about culture and being soft.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's talking about, hey, our guys, we're going to go there and compete because we haven't quit yet.
Yep.
And
which means maybe they have.
Luke Fickell doesn't know what he has right now.
And a bowl game, a bowl eligibility might mean more to Nebraska than Wisconsin right now. Crazy to say that.
No, I agree 100% because they're more used to doing that. At the bare minimum, getting to bowl games. I would not have thought we'd be in this spot.
Happenings in Madison in year number 1.
Yeah.
All right. Sam McEwen, Brian Christopherson, Andy Kendi, all still to come. Hope you enjoyed our chat with Coach Justin Cameron of CBLC on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, you can enjoy your chat with a team member at Woodhouse Buick GMC. Now, they have helped me get into my latest vehicle, a Buick Envision. Their professional knowledge. I love my man, Xavier. And let's also be honest, Xavier went to work for me. He gave me one price and I said, He said, I'll be back. He came back and I went, He goes, I don't know if I can. And I said, He came back again and we had a deal. And the purchase was quick. It was smooth. And taken care of. And now I'm a huge fan of Woodhouse Buick GMC. You can too. Purchase with confidence, experience the difference, and check out. They simply have something for everyone. Stylish SUVs, capable trucks like the 23 GMC Sierra, which is big, bad, and feels nice to drive. I've driven it, and you slide right into the seats. It doesn't feel like you're driving in a truck. You got the infotainment. You got multi-pro tailgate lift you can do a bunch of different things with. And right now, I'm going to give you a deal. Are you ready? I'm like Monty Hall here. $6,000 off MSRP. I don't know if they know this at Woodhouse that I'm doing this deal, but I'm going to do it for you right now. $6,000 off MSRP right now. See dealer for details. Tell them Sharpie sent you and you want the Sharpie deal on the 23 GMC Sierra. Also, you want deals on other vehicles, and you can find them new and pre-owned inventory all under one roof. Climate-controlled indoor showroom, 119th and I, or anytime online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on The Crossover.
And we rolled him over on the side. He hit one of those ruts, turned 45 degrees sideways, hit the retaining wall, and eventually started going end over end. And so every time the top of the barrel, the exposed end, you'd see his arms flaying. And we stood there at the top of the hill. We were looking at each other going, do we go down and save him or do we run?
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show on Sportsmanlike Conduct. 6A to 6P, 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from Canoyer Garden Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Windy and warm day ahead for Tuesday. Expect sunshine in the morning with south to southwest winds picking up, gusting 20 to 35 miles per hour. A few more clouds in the afternoon with highs around 70. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Enjoy the holidays with crisp, clear vision by visiting KuglerVision.com.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain, time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a delay from 94th to 90th along Dodge. Then on Industrial Road, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown near 138th. And other than that, it looks like your commute this morning should be pretty smooth, even if you're running a bit late. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Someone just won a beautiful new blue truck playing Trucks and Bucks 2023. So there are only 3 trucks left. Better get to a Nebraska Lottery retailer, buy a ticket, and play today. Top prize odds, 1 in 336,000.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
This hour is powered by Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair, Nebraska on 1620 The Zone. Here's today's Husker Max Practice Report, brought to you by Tickets for Less on 1180 and 1620 The Zone.
Head coach Matt Rhule gave an update on his team's QB situation.
Quarterback-wise, Heinrich has a pretty good ankle sprain, so we'll see if he can do anything tomorrow. Shuttle came out of the game a little bit banged up. Hasn't played much, so he's a little bit banged up from getting hit. Jeff healthy, so we'll go through the week and probably come all the way up to game time in terms of who will play.
Rhule said there's one thing his quarterbacks need to do to help them limit turnovers.
Our process is practicing so much and working so much that we can trust our training. So as you get late in the Big Ten year and you go through the Big Ten for the first time and, you start to experience these teams and things that they're doing, trusting the training that we're going to have, whether it's a read, whether it's a decision. So 2 of the interceptions, 2 of them are backing up and just kind of throwing it. Another one's just, throwing it, to a spot, hoping that it's going to be completed. And those things just can't happen.
For The Zone, I'm Matt McMaster.
The Husker Max Practice Report, brought to you by Tickets for Less on 1180 and 1620 The Zone.
Attention all you Husker football fans. This season, get ready to cheer on your Huskers like never before. Tickets for Less is offering an exclusive deal that'll have you jumping out of your seat. Use the promo code THEZONE and save big on Husker tickets for every game, home and away. From the electrifying home opener to intense conference matchups, Tickets for Less has you covered. Don't miss a single moment of the gridiron action. Visit ticketsforless.com today. Use promo code THEZONE and secure your seat to witness the Huskers live on the field this season. Hurry, this offer won't last forever.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values it. Member FDIC.
Many people go back to the dealership out of habit or because they think the dealer is the only one who knows how to fix their car. At Omaha Car Care, we offer a better option. We have ASE certified technicians, the technology to service any vehicle, and free loaner cars. The dealer will sell you a package of services. We'll provide the service you want for your car as your trusted partner. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Big night in the Big O. Creighton men's basketball moves up to 7th in the coaches poll. Host Iowa for the first time since 1999. That was a good year. Tonight at the Chai. Tip off just after 9 o'clock. Sorry, kids. Sorry, John. We'll get you started with shoot around at 7 o'clock. John will take over at 8:30. Jimmy Allen follows very late and will take you pretty much up to our show tomorrow morning.
Isn't Jimmy here tomorrow?
Yeah. So you just stay here.
Stay here.
What would you Creighton fans rather have? Early games to appease the people on the East Coast or late games? Because there's what, just 3 teams in the Big East that are in the Central Time Zone? I mean, 9 o'clock is pushing it. Yeah, they play about 8 o'clock. Would you rather have that 5:30 or 6 o'clock tip or the 8:30 tip?
21-year-old Nick would love the 9 o'clock tip or the late tip.
I guess the older Creighton fans, they like that. Let's go.
Yes. Yes.
And then let's go to the game, and then we're home.
So that's 10 o'clock?
Yeah, we 10 o'clock is go to bed.
Yeah. But late single party, Nick, 9 o'clock. Even the Bracket Buster one year that was at 11 p.m. Bring me that one because that is a smelly crowd.
I was at the 99 game. It was a show. At the Civic.
Yeah.
Like, the people
Everything
were,
at Civic was.
You know, it's Iowa, and they're playing Creighton back when they were in the Missouri Valley, and it was raucous. I mean, there were people getting after it, and Ben Walker and Ryan Sears had a typical Ben Walker Ryan Sears game. First game that I ever met T. Scott Martin in person. Yeah. He said he hated Iowa. Because I guess they had played him a couple years earlier, and the fans were very nice. He was like super excited. But the fans, like, the place was, I mean, the Civic Auditorium would have blown like a 5.9. It was so drunk that night, and it was raucous. It was like super rowdy, and the game was very physical, if I recall, back in '99.
I know you could vouch for this as well, and maybe this would be
I've never blown 5.9.
Oh my gosh!
As a matter of fact, I've only had one breathalyzer in my life, and I hadn't even been drinking.
Lincoln
cheated. Lincoln Cop was trying to mess with me.
A friend of mine had a breathalyzer.
I'll blow, and it'll go 0.001.
Yeah, we used to play that game with a friend who had a breathalyzer because they were a parent that on post proms would have to go up to the prom and like breathalyze kids. So
did your friend also have a boot on his car?
No, but we were drinking it there at his house, and we would breathalyze ourselves and see like where we were. It was actually kind of a nice little thing. Like, okay,
did
well,
it get competitive? Because it would with my friends.
No, but you would agree, Civic Auditorium, when that thing is banged out, whether we're talking about like marquee basketball games or Omaha hockey. Still, amenities aside, one of the most entertaining, fun venues to be around when it was at a capacity.
Oh, yeah.
It did. I still smell it to this day.
Yep.
The old ones, they usually
hot dog, popcorn, urinal cakes, and maybe the occasional hot beer, too.
Welcome back, Josh Dix from Council Bluffs AL.
Right.
It will be, sophomore dial.
Urinal cakes. Is that a candle you can get too?
No, it's what you'd leak on.
Oh.
And you can get
You know what a urinal cake was?
No, I know what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah. You play
wow.
the game. You try to get in the middle. Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah, it's usually it's a little middle, and you try
So
to
you're
hit
the
the
reason
middle.
that there's a line in the
Hold on.
bathroom. We're not playing no games.
Are we going to the same bathroom?
Yeah.
What do you mean in the middle?
They had the disc, and sometimes they had a thing in the middle, like it was like a game. You're trying to hit the middle. You get 50 points, and
The only game
How did you guys keep tabs
the
of
only
this thing?
game I've ever done is to spell my name in cursive. I have not played the urinal
in the
cake.
snow.
And on the urinal, you would try to spell your
No,
name
no,
in
no.
cursive? Or when when you might be outside
when you're
having
18 and you're trying
Okay.
to impress people,
Yeah.
you're like, I can spell my name in cursive without my hands.
Even more impressive if your name is
And then you
Eastern
had to change your
European.
pants.
Yeah, but many
You
times
always
your
got
friends
you always
don't
got to have a
change.
hand at the control, man.
That's all
Come
about the
on.
hip movement.
Don't
when
we
you're
know
trying to
that
do that?
by now? Kids, if there's
That-
anything you learn today, always have a hand at the control when
Hey,
you're doing that.
that loop on the G.
Talent.
The hip movement that one would require to pull that off. It's very impressive.
All these things will be going on at the Chai tonight at 9:00, especially after a 70-degree day. I think
Yeah.
some people may not be going to work tomorrow.
Oh yeah, downtown's gonna be hopping.
Oh, have fun. Creighton also announces that 3 upcoming men's basketball games are officially sold out. No surprise here, including tonight's game, December 16th against Alabama. Also no surprise. And then the senior day home finale against Shotgun Marquette on March 2nd. Limited standing room only tickets will go on sale the morning of each game at 10 a.m. at the box office. Creighton volleyball holds firm at 15 in the polls. They are 23-4 overall, 14-2 in the Big East. Nebraska volleyball, still top ranked, still undefeated. Middle blocker Andy Jackson named Big Ten co-freshman of the week. She had a good week. Everybody had a good week as they beat Northwestern Illinois. They will next play on Friday night at Devaney against Michigan. Nebraska ball holds on to beat Rider 64-50. K-State returns for the Huskers, as first called by Jacob Bigelow on this show. That's pretty much where the positive ends. They needed a 17-0 run to pull away. It was a game that will never be hung in the Louvre. They next host Stony Brook tomorrow night. Nebraska ball women host Alcorn State tonight at PBA. Tip-off is 7 o'clock. Omaha hockey blue liner Joe LeMay is Week 6 NCHC Defenseman of the Week after a 3-point weekend against the Long Island Sharks. He did a little bit of everything. They went 2-0 over the weekend, sweeping Long Island. They got a big one this weekend. Texas A&M's record $76 million contract buyout for Jimbo Fisher accounts for more than half of the approximately $146 million Power 5 schools owed to fired head football coaches since the start of the 2022 season, according to publicly available data. Fisher's buyout is nearly triple the highest known coaching contract buyout at a public school. The previous record was set in 2020 by Auburn and Gus Malzahn, which cost $21.7 million. Hey, when they want to get rid of you, they find the money. Oregon coach Dan Lanning says he and the Duck are tight, and he shoots down any speculation that he could be a candidate for A&M's coaching vacancy, saying yesterday there is zero chance he leaves the Ducks. He's in his second year in Eugene and has been mentioned as a possible top target for the Aggies. Oregon in July gave Lanning a 1-year contract extension to the 2028 season and a significant raise to $7 million annually, while also boosting his buyout to $20 million if he elected to leave. He is 19-4 as the coach of the Ducks. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh says he plans to attend a court hearing Friday where a judge will hear arguments on whether to grant a restraining order that will nullify the Big Ten's 3-game suspension of the coach. And yes, he says he plans to talk.
He will talk.
Finally, Shaq had a dream to visit his alma mater in Baton Rouge with his youngest daughter, Miara, but Miara took dad's advice and chose her own path. The 6'4" junior committed to Florida, play for the Alligators, giving the Gators 2 top 33 recruits in the 2024 class. Her older sister, Amira, played at LSU and Texas Southern.
Thank you, Jimmy. All right, quick little email here into the Equitable Bank inbox. First of all, I hope, and I think most fans do, are very grateful and very appreciative of where Creighton basketball is, because if they get ready to play Iowa tonight, they are ranked ahead of Duke. Just
flex.
Yeah.
Flex.
Remember in '99 when you were at the Civic watching Iowa and Creighton play. Creighton will play a basketball game tonight where they are ranked ahead of Duke.
Yes.
With that said, quick email here into the Equitable Bank inbox from Ted. He goes, your mention about the 99 game brought back 2 memories. One, I got into a stare down with Steve Alford. Steve Alford was the head coach of Iowa.
I hear a lot of Iowa fans would like to continue to get in stare downs with Steve Alford.
Yeah, just don't get in a hot tub. He also said, I can't remember his full name. He wore 55. He was from a foreign country. I got his shoes after the game. Played for Creighton.
Wait, what? Got his shoes? Just hand out his
Really?
shoes?
Or he just took them? You don't need these anymore.
I think it's
Gosh, if you can pull this off.
Carla Canovas, I think was his name.
Wow.
He wore 50. I know. I remember
impressive.
he wore
Dang.
55. Yeah, he had a tough first name to pronounce.
Okay.
I think that's who the guy was. But he said, yeah, some Lithuanian guy wore 55 for Creighton. He goes, I got his shoes after the game. I don't know if he said
he
it
didn't
like
say he gave me his
No,
shoes.
He
He
may
just
have
got
stole his shoes.
Yes, that's kind of what I mean.
Statute of limitations.
The picture that you're painting from that scene, I'm going to guess that those were not willfully given by this player.
How many Iowa fans do you think will be here tonight? You know, like when
I actually wondered that.
When,
I think there'll be some.
when Iowa State played a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
there were a lot of Iowa State
Yeah.
fans, and there's a lot of Iowa State alums that quietly are in this area.
Oh, I think you're quite a few.
9:00. You think Iowa fans will
Yeah.
make the trip?
Sure.
Or Iowa
Yeah.
fans that are in the area?
Well, you'll get your Omaha Hawkeyes. That's for sure. And then,
their way
I
from
think you'll get some that will be making their way over. Again, probably making an afternoon of it, hanging out in the old market in North downtown. And then they'll, maybe they'll just they'll do lodging. They'll stay here overnight and head back in the morning.
Lots of possessions. I am a little surprised that the line is only 8.5. This feels like a game where Creighton
Oh, it went
ends
down.
up
I saw it at
winning by
9.5.
double figures.
I saw that at 9.5. So that must have come down as of last night.
When I touched it, it was 8.5.
Okay,
and I took the Jays in 8.5. If you're wondering,
maybe it went up.
The total is somewhere. I think it's like 167.
Okay, I was wondering because remember the first game
8.5, 9.5 seems kind of low because Iowa has beaten North Dakota and Alabama State. Now, Creighton has beaten Florida A&M and North Dakota State, but I have more trust in Creighton.
Yes.
I have more faith that Creighton would touch their 97 than Iowa touching their 104 on average.
I would tend to agree with you on that one too. Peyton Sanford, good player. Creighton, a lot of good players. But I like this is kind of that early test here. Again, this is a solid week of college basketball. We're going to see, the Champions Classic tonight too. But as far as Creighton, watching them over the last couple of weeks, or the last couple of games, and looking at some of the little things of rotational wise, like how's Isaac Trout going to sort of adjust into the lineup? How's the 4-man rotation or the 4-spot rotation looking? But we got an update?
No.
Oh,
continue. I got
okay. Well, now I'm just curious. I'm not going to say anything of real substance here. Come on.
Adam said the Iowa players are probably moving the betting line.
That's fair.
Hey.
Let's
give it up for Adam. Let's give it up for Adam.
That is good.
Tweet. Nicely
Yeah,
done.
and it's been a while. We haven't really had an Iowa gambling tweet in a while or email. So yeah,
wait till next week.
It's usually been more kind of the Nebraska Iowa poking fun at each other on the Big Ten part of it, but now we get a little Creighton Iowa. I like that. There we go. This is all inclusive.
So I'm sorry you were breaking down
exactly
the Creighton offense.
No, we're good.
Trey Alexander, Sporting News today, 26th overall pick in the first round.
So we saw him as high as 14.
Iowa JD, who absolutely hates Fran McCaffrey, even though Iowa's had 3 straight years where their leading scorers scored more than 20 points. But JD continues to hate Kirk Ferentz and Fran McCaffrey.
Brian. Does he hate Kirk? I know he hates Brian.
Yeah, I think he hates Kirk too.
Does he?
Okay. He's just ready for change.
Even after Kirk really opened himself up and got emotional?
Quietly, like the Hawkeye Chronicle guy, he wants to be a Nebraska fan. I say that guy got loose on a lot of people's Nebraska Twitter accounts.
Yeah, well, just
I thought he was going to lead his count after Nebraska won last year. What happened? You can't trust Iowans. Iowa JD, who I can trust because I've worked with him before.
Yeah, you have. Good umpire.
And you know what? Also, he works in Nebraska.
He does.
Yeah, he might live in Iowa, but he works in Nebraska.
By all things considered, I heard he's a very good umpire.
If Creighton, he's one of the best. If Creighton doesn't beat Iowa by at least 15, Creighton fans should be very concerned.
Are you ever really? If you
There's
win a
show
game,
you can call into.
If Creighton doesn't beat Nebraska, they should be very concerned.
Yes,
hot take.
But if you win a game against a high major at this point of the season and you don't cover, say if I know this one isn't necessarily a double-digit spread, but say, okay, you come just under the spread, but you win. Are you overly concerned at this stage? I don't. I can't get overly hot takey on college basketball this early in November.
87-74. Maybe 87-72.
I was just thinking 87-75.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay. So you like them living comfortably in double digits?
I think they'll pull away.
Yeah.
I just don't know that. I don't know that Iowa likes that pace, but Creighton's pace is a little bit different.
And
there's my John Wooden moment.
Okay. Here's my big thing to watch tonight. Creighton defensively. Again, got some good guards for Iowa. And how does Creighton continue to defend, especially on the perimeter? That is something that this is the part of Creighton basketball that has evolved and that is kind of Big East ready. We know what their offense can do. Defense continues to look good. This will be the first test of the season to where you actually see how far along their defense continues to come. So
I think
that's
take
what
it
I'm
to
watching.
the next level because they have a gear that not many teams have.
Yeah, because I
Saturday.
don't worry about in the paint and how they defend there with Ryan Kalkbrenner. But again, these guards, not that I'm concerned, but I've continued to be impressed with Trey Alexander evolving as a defender is one of the best in the Big East right now. So this will be a good opportunity to see that again.
All right. Sam McEwen needs to defend some of his takes from last week. He's coming up next. I kid because I care. Sammy Mack will join us on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, we are kind of winding down, but it is still football season, and it is our favorite time here in the state of Nebraska because we've got everything from the Huskers to NFL and anything in between, even high school state championships going on. And when it comes to watching football, there is no better place than DJ's Dugout. It is an Omaha tradition to gather with family and friends to watch the game at DJ's and cheer on for your team. Again, no matter what your team, who your team is, and what game they're playing in. Plus, great food, great drinks, and great service. Voted Omaha's #1 sports bar, and it's my favorite too. DJ's Dugout, locally in Vietnam, veteran-owned. Dig in at the Dugout.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is always looking to make your game day bigger and better. Cheer on your favorite team this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall showing up to 8 games at once. TVs are everywhere else you can look with a state-of-the-art audio and video system. Enjoy a big old pizza or award-winning char-buffed wings. There's just no better way to do your game day. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road. And for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Hi, this is Kathy Canoyer. 'Tis the season at Glass House Market within Canoyer Garden Center. We'd like to be a part of your family's holiday tradition. Whether you're looking for a gift for that special someone or a wreath for your front door, we'd like to invite you to come shop our stunning holiday market full of Christmas decor, novelty items, and fresh greens. Shop Glass House Market located within Canoyer Garden Center on 66th Street between Cornhusker and Highway 370 in Papillion. Open daily 10 to 6.
At Canoyer Garden Center, everybody's got a green thumb.
42 Degrees is proud to join our community in honoring those who served our country this Veterans Day. From now until November 19th, we're collecting cans of food, boxed food, non-perishables, and hygiene products for the Omaha Veterans Food Pantry, helping thousands of veterans in Nebraska and Iowa who are in need. Please bring to any of our Omaha or Lincoln locations. To all veterans, we say thank you for your service. Donate today at 42 Degrees. Buy your mom's house.
Attention sales professionals. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished business-to-business salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to a new level. Is this you? Our account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On-air, digital, on-site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands. at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
And now, try Babbel free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we appreciate. I'm going to move Sam back a little bit. Sam McHugh of the World Herald joins us now. Good Tuesday morning on the road. How are you?
Hey, I'm all right. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, quick question here because I was just thinking about this during the break. Nebraska's 5-5. In your opinion, what is Nebraska's most impressive victory to date?
Well, that's a great question. I think if I had to pick one, I think the best team that they've beaten is Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Illinois was playing real well at the time, but I think Illinois. It could be that Northwestern ends up having the best record. They're going to play Purdue, and they'll play Illinois. I think Purdue's going to beat Northwestern this weekend, to be honest with you. But I guess we'll find out. We'll see.
Do you think Illinois will beat Iowa?
I think they could. Yeah, I think so. I think one of the things that can get Iowa is when a team can kind of just drop back and throw the ball, and they're able to do it. They're able to get big plays. And Illinois' quarterback, the guy that's in there now,
Paddock, yep.
He can actually take full advantage of all of the receivers that they have. They have 3 really good ones, and if Nebraska had those 3 guys, they'd probably have a couple more wins. Yeah, I'd say Illinois at this point. That one was on the road. I think all the other 4 were at home. And so I would say the Illini. I think if you asked them, they would say it was Illinois too. That's probably the team that they thought was the best team that they played, if that makes sense.
Sam, I know you asked the question, and I thought it was put very well, for the criticism that comes with Marcus Satterfield, what should people know about him, his role, this offense's role, what's maybe just criticism and what's maybe more armchair quarterback. What did you take from Matt Rhule's response to that? And also, what was kind of your overall thought after what you've seen, not just on Saturday, but kind of the cumulative whole picture of Nebraska's offense right now as it involves Marcus Satterfield?
Right. Well, first of all, I thought it was a hard question, and I intended it to be difficult because what it was designed to do was to sort of parlay or extol Satterfield's virtues or the things that he's having to deal with as he manages this offense. And, Rhule kind of didn't take it in that direction. I think he's going to be careful not to say the things about, that roster that one could say. And so I think he kind of said, I think he kind of took that on himself. And but nowhere in there did I suggest that, Satterfield should be let go or replaced. It was like, what do you consider? What do you think critics of Satterfield should consider as they examine his work. And so, I think he gave a little bit of an answer to that. I think, he spoke to Satterfield's work ethic and desiring to do well. And those are all things, he made the comment about not firing coaches. That was him saying that. I mean, it was built into the question. So that may be something that, he sees or has heard from somebody or was heard coming off the field. I don't really know. I absolutely believe that the third and goal call was Rhule saying, "Hey, let's go for a touchdown here," and then Rhule sort of changed the play. He's like, "I don't want to do that. Let's do this." And what they ended up doing, didn't work. So, I don't think there's a whole lot that Marcus Satterfield does that doesn't come with the seal of approval of Matt Rhule. I just don't. I don't think that they're separate entities. I think they're basically one and the same. And he made another interesting comment during the when he was talking about Elijah Robinson. He's like, I wish my coaches would get more run in my coaching tree. And I thought, well, I mean,
you had a DC
that's kind of the coach of everything.
Yeah.
So
no, that's a great. Yeah, he wove that in there. And immediately I thought about Tony White with the news of Brady Hoke earlier in the day.
Oh, sure.
That's a good catch. He's very interesting on Mondays because he'll drop some things that initially you probably don't catch because you're on to the next topic. But man, doesn't he use those things to kind of like he's very candid, but to send a little message, drop a little behind the scenes stuff on how he looks at his program or he operates, and he's just waiting for us to catch it.
Right. Yeah, that was notable. I think, I don't always know how coaching trees work. He probably has a legendary coaching tree, and I probably did Bill Snyder and Kirk Ferentz, other than he was innovative and he was there, and they respected the hell out of him. So I don't entirely know, but for sure, Tony White will be a candidate at San Diego State, I would think. Now if I were him, I don't know if I take that job. Nope. I don't know if I would.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he will do. I think he can hold out for a Power 5 job. I don't know that I would, but he may want to go there and recruit California. But when you go there, you're not going there to stay there. You're going there to go somewhere else, and you got to make sure that wherever you're going to go somewhere else. And where's that next stop? So, we'll see what happens.
So Nick and I were talking to the first hour, and everything is revolving around the quarterback. Who do you think, Sam, Rhule would like to start against Wisconsin? But who do you also think will be the guy that starts?
Well, I mean, I think he wouldn't mind going back to Harvard because they put so much time and energy into him. And Chuba, I think, is up against his fourth game. So this is it. His fourth game is just passed. So I think Harvard, he's healthy. I think Purdy. If they go back to Jeff Sims, I mean, that's based on the way that Sims has played, that's just an enormous risk. Like, something's not, and I won't be at the presser today, but someone needs to ask. I would ask if I were there. What's happened to Sims? Because this isn't what they expected. I mean, this is a player that is looks like he's just not all the way in, and it doesn't. On the sidelines he's engaged, but he just doesn't look like he's all the way in it. Like, it looks like he's just not comfortable. Didn't look like that when it was in Minnesota. Didn't look like that at Colorado. He just looked distracted. And the fumble was a huge mistake that you just can't believe. It's the first play of the quarter. And it's just situational awareness is unreal. then the interception was we didn't delve into what was going on with that play, but I question whether it was supposed to be a double scissors route, but it doesn't make any difference. Where he threw the ball made no sense. Like it just didn't make any sense. So, again, like you have to be thoughtful about the fact that they're 5-5. So you have to take these following things into account. The culture is strong because the defense is playing its guts out, and they're 5-5, which is one more win than they had all of last year. 2, the competition they're playing is not great. It's just not. This was outside of one game against Michigan. This was the schedule. I mean, this was a very palatable schedule. And 3, I just don't know that we've ever seen quarterbacks play like this at Nebraska ever. There might have been a couple games in there early in the 2002 season when Lord had the Penn State and the Iowa State games back to back.
Yeah.
And they tried to play Kurt Dukes and he wouldn't play. Is that what it was?
Yep.
I can't remember. He wouldn't start. Something, I don't know. It was a silly situation. That probably was the last time where you're like, oh man, but Jamal Lord was he played really hard and he was better than what we're seeing. Let's just be honest about that. And so this is somewhat uncharted territory, and you have to kind of you got to weigh all those things at the same time. And then you have to keep in mind that it's Rhule's first year, and nobody wants to be too rude in the first year. If that was fifth year Scott Frost calling that pass on third goal, I'm not sure the stadium would still be there. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And so I totally appreciate this. Like, hey, we're playing for the long game. It's like, yeah, I mean, if you kick the field goal there, I don't think anybody on your sideline is talking about being competitive. That's not. It was just a play call, and hindsight being 2020, you run it, you kick the field goal, and you ask your defense to make a stop that it's made all season long, and there you go, and everybody nods and says, well, yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what the thought process. It doesn't make much difference. You can defend it however you want to, but they are where they're at. They could win one of the last 2 games. In fact, it won't surprise me if they win.
So and I know it's not the ideal situation, but if Jeff Sims had to be their guy on Saturday, is there anything that you see, and I know you really have to look here, we all have to, that you could feel comfortable of having Jeff Sims run that at least keeps this offense afloat? Or is it just a matter of and kind of we saw this on Saturday, of something's kind of going right and then you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop?
I think he can throw for controlled passes. I think you can run a swing game with him. I think you can presumably run the ball a little bit with him as the quarterback, draws, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen him complete a deep pass yet, so I don't know what he would, what that picture looks like. They'd obviously put together a good game plan, the best game plan they could to maximize his skill set. Maybe there's one really good game in Jeff Sims this year, and it's just waiting to come out. You just never really know which team you're going to get. Purdue was waiting to play its great game all year, and then they did against Minnesota. So maybe Nebraska's offense has that game in it, and it's Wisconsin's the opportunity. They're reeling a little. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think certainly there's things that they can try to do, but it's a limited group. They don't have a ton of players. A ton of experienced guys. Rhule mentioned that he thought the offensive line played really well. I think that's notable.
Mm-hmm.
And he appreciated the work they put in. And so they're getting better. And Emmett Johnson was good. So, you just try to find any which way you can to get it done. What I'll say is that, again, if you're going to do this pro style, huddle up, no tempo, sort of walk up to the line of scrimmage and scheme it up and run these sort of, big play designs. You got to get a lot better in your execution, and they're just not anywhere near that. There's ways to address it. Going tempo sometimes can hit you a play. They don't want to do that very often. So it's a pickle, and I don't think it's a 1-year pickle. I think it's going to take them time to figure this out. I really do. I think Rhule's going to need some time, and I think he's going to have it may not be a 1-year conversation. What I know is they're going to go into next season. They're going to have to score some points in some games, and they're going to have to figure out how to do that real soon. Actually, they have to figure it out really soon because the portal's going to open, and there's going to be there's some guys they got to go get if they think they're going to have a 24 point a game offense next year.
All right, we'll get you out on this. Sam McCune of the World Herald joining us. We've watched Wisconsin football from afar for a while, and now they're front and center Saturday night. Can you figure out what the heck is going on in Madison? Because, Sam, I watched Luke Fickell yesterday, and the stuff that he was saying, it's November 13th yesterday, and I'm like, whoa, I did not expect to hear that. What's your read on what's wrong at Wisconsin?
Couple things. I think, one, the offense has not gone the way they would hope. First of all, they came in and they had to deal with the exact same thing that Bill Callahan did and Mike Riley did is, hey, you're taking over a program that expects to win. And so you need to come in here and basically parrot that. Mm-hmm. And they did. They went in there and they're like, yeah, this is a year with 0. This is year 1. And we're going to have to win right away. And we expect to win right away. And just, the offensive coordinator's talking about Ferraris, whatever. So, part of it was the rhetoric that they had on the front end. Part of it is that, Wisconsin needs to modernize some things and other things we're doing pretty darn well. And then I think their defense just isn't, their defense just doesn't have as many good players as they did 4 or 5 years ago. And, and you're sort of seeing that. They're in between on defense. They were running that, what amounted to a 2-4-5 defense for a long time. And, now they're trying to do some different things and it's an adjustment. So basically 2004 Nebraska, that's kind of where they're at, and that's what they're trying to work through. And, Jim Leonard isn't Bo Pelini, but I mean, the players really liked him.
He did. Yep.
And they decided not to hire him. And so, the replacement, Luke Fickell's, I think, a pretty good hire. I think would have been a good fit at Nebraska too, but he's having to work through some things. Their comments on Saturday, his comments and Hunter Wohler's comments were just, they were astonishing. You just don't hear them out of the team very often anymore. Actually, they were refreshing in a way.
Yeah.
They were refreshing. I mean, it was, somebody tried to butter up Fickell and say, hey, you hit a couple of draw plays. Like, if I got to sit up here and say we ran the ball well because we hit a couple of draw plays, that's like embarrassing at the University of Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. I think Fickell could get us up there. I think
I do too.
He's probably dealing with some intransigence and some intractability and some, we want receivers and we have a bunch of fullbacks and tight ends and a lot of other things. But he's going to have a challenge up there because it's the fans. It's not that Wisconsin fans are like awful. It's that they'll check out.
Yes.
So they got the Packers and they got the basketball team and they got the hockey. Like they'll just check out. They'll just be like, you will come back when we're good. We don't need Wisconsin football to be good the way that Nebraska fans need that. So they'll just go to the Packers. Now the Packers happen to stink too, but it's easier to criticize a pro team. So they'll just leave Wisconsin football alone, and that's the part that Fickell has to make sure doesn't happen.
Yep. Sam, we appreciate it. Safe travels to Madison. Thank you.
Take care.
Sam's spot on. So Wisconsin fans care. They care like Nebraska fans, and they go to the games. But when Wisconsin isn't playing well, they don't show up. Nebraska fans will show up when Nebraska's not playing well.
Now you look at that student section a lot of the times, and even Saturday, that thing emptied out like a fire drill.
Culture, soft. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, but
not something you would always.
But you
think
take a
of
step
Wisconsin.
back. But you take a step back, and you're like, okay, first year, big transition.
Yep.
I get it.
Changing the makeup.
Game comes down to field position and turnovers. That's what it does. And it doesn't need Brad Nessler on the call for Nebraska to win against Wisconsin. Which 2012, that game that flipped, both teams are wearing the alternate uniforms. Brad Nessler's doing the game for ESPN.
Yeah.
Boom! 4th and 1 midfield. Hell no, Mr. Ball. And Nebraska won. That's been a long time ago.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
A guy by the name of Joel Stave was leading the Wisconsin Charge, and he didn't even play in the Big Ten championship game.
John Papuchis hugged everybody that was in the stadium that night. True story. He did. He was so happy.
I mentioned that if this game was at 11 a.m., that'd be obviously beneficial to Nebraska. Also, no, when it comes to the attention span of Wisconsin fans, if they are checked in or not, notable that deer hunting season opens on Saturday morning.
Oh,
that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's a huge deal in Wisconsin.
Because I think shotgun deer season opened up here this past Saturday.
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, night game, you still have a chance to do all that and then still get nice and lubed up for the game that night. But again, I'll be really curious. When you think of night games at Camp Randall, you just automatically assume a house of horrors. I'm not convinced that thing is going to be completely banged out to where it is that intimidating environment that it always has been in the past.
This is one of the better opportunities for Nebraska to beat Wisconsin.
The weather won't be bad at all. Won't be a factor.
All right. A little bit later, Brian Christopherson, Andy Kendi. The line, thank you to Iowa basketball players, is up to 12.5.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got it.
Holy
I
cow.
was actually on FanDuel when it first came out yesterday, and I'm like, whoa. So 12.5 is where it's at now for Iowa and Creighton tonight.
Yeah, I thought I saw 8. No, I saw 9.5 last night. That's a jump.
Hey, I might kid free Noah Shannon.
We got Aaron Eulis too.
Noah Shannon.
Okay.
Yeah, Aaron Eulis playing. They don't give up less than 55 points in the first 3 games.
Boom.
3-0 start for Nebraska. It was ugly last night.
Haven't been 3-0 since when?
Since Tim Miles was the head coach.
18-19.
2018, 2019, as we said yesterday. I know it's been a long stretch of some
The
bad
peach buckets.
basketball. But Nebraska did win last night over Ryder, 64-50. Ryder better than I thought. Real physical team, but they ran out of gas.
A little press there, a little soft press, yeah.
Then they were like, we're getting homered by the officials. They were not happy in the second half. But that's okay. Maybe I ought to score some points.
Yeah, 9 minutes. No. Yeah.
But BC was at the game last night. We'll get his thoughts on Nebraska basketball. And Casey was there last night. Could Casey's popularity get larger than it already is? His return last night, a little rusty. He liked to shoot the 3, though, man. But I am watching him last night, he's very aware of his place with Nebraska basketball fans. And now he is leaning into it.
Yeah, he works the crowd. Looks bigger, too.
That and much more, and more on Nebraska, Wisconsin, and why there was no plan B at quarterback. And Nebraska's in this situation with 2 games to go in the regular season and 1 to get bowl eligible. Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey, as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot. Hey, FanDuel is the place for you. Hey, new customers. Hey, you can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking, about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now, Nick.
And if you think you can find an easier app, then I'd like to see it. The app is so easy to use. Wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com. Use the promo code ZONE. Again, that's FanDuel.com/zone and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present at Iowa. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a significant slowdown from Cornhusker Road all the way to Pacific along 204th. On Dodge, there's going to be major delays from 94th all the way to 77. And along Highway 370, be prepared for traffic to be building up quite a bit from 144th all the way to the I-80 East and West ramps. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Reason number 237 to love Fernando's.
A helpful smile in every aisle. If you know, you know.
Fernando's Pico, Queso Blanco, Artichoke Dip, and famous flour chips are now available at your local Hy-Vee. Now it's even easier to get your Fernando's fix.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Severe for Ted and Wally's 2 locations in Benson, right next to Taste of New Years. Great nostalgia, not just for the ice cream, but for things to buy for the holidays as well. You want to grab something that someone will love? Get yourself a gift card from Ted and Wally's or from Taste of New Orleans. People will love you for it. You put it in a card, and it's the perfect gift. Get ready for Thanksgiving today with some to-go orders from Ted and Wally's, both locations, Benson and Old Market, and tell them Severe sent you.
Here's today's Husker Max Practice Report, brought to you by Tickets for Less on 1180 and 1620 The Zone.
Head coach Matt Rhule gave an update on his team's QB situation.
Quarterback-wise, Heinrich has a pretty good ankle sprain, so we'll see if he can do anything tomorrow. Shubba came out of the game a little bit banged up. Hasn't played much, so he's a little bit banged up from getting hit. Jeff healthy, so we'll go through the week and probably come all the way up to game time in terms of who will play.
Rhule said there's one thing his quarterbacks need to do to help them limit turnovers.
Our process is practicing so much and working so much that we can trust our training. And so as you get late in the Big Ten year and you go through the Big Ten for the first time and, you start to experience these teams and things that they're doing, trusting the training that we're going to have, whether it's a read, whether it's a decision. So 2 of the interceptions, 2 of them are backing up and just kind of throwing it. Another one's just, throwing it, to a spot, hoping that it's going to be completed. And those things just can't happen.
For The Zone, I'm Matt McMaster.
The Husker Max Practice Report, brought to you by Tickets for Less on 1180 and 1620 The Zone.
Attention all you Husker football fans. This season, get ready to cheer on your Huskers like never before. Tickets for Less is offering an exclusive deal that'll have you jumping out of your seat. Use the promo code THEZONE and save big on Husker tickets for every game, home and away. From the electrifying home opener to intense conference matchups, Tickets for Less has you covered. Don't miss a single moment of the gridiron action. Visit ticketsforless.com today. Use promo code THEZONE and secure your seat to witness the Huskers live on the field this season. Hurry, this offer won't last forever.
If you drive through your neighborhood and think, pretty house, you, my house. Time to call Great Plains Home Exteriors. They transform homes like yours all over Nebraska. Great Plains Home Exteriors offers so many different window brands and styles to fit every home and budget. They also install gutters and gutter guards so you never have to clean your gutters again. Great Plains Home Exteriors will make your home feel like a part of the neighborhood. Free estimate at gphomeomaha.com.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is $50 worth of vouchers to Le Voltaire French Restaurant for only $25. Le Voltaire Pepperwood Village is a locally owned, unpretentious French restaurant serving down-home cooking with an extensive wine list and great handcrafted cocktails for decades. Whether dining with friends, clients, or that special someone, Le Voltaire will make you feel right at home.
Zone Deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com. This hour is powered by Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair, Nebraska on 1620 The Zone. Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Is this David Bowie?
It is.
Okay.
Or David Bowie, as Avril Lavigne said.
This isn't one of his more popular selections off his catalog, is it?
Random. Random. Yeah. Scary monsters and super creeps.
All right, welcome back in.
We're all over
leave the
place.
studio, walk in, and yes, you guys are talking about
Yeah.
childhood stars.
We had a
that
day.
have
We had a
bad fate.
Okay, can I let people in on how spot on this was though? We were talking about we got into different strokes characters during the break. Jimmy and I did, and you came back into the studio as I mentioned. Yeah, I go, talk about childhood stars. I go, one that fell victim to the drug, and you immediately said Dana Plato. And I was talking about Dana Plato. I mean, is that where our mind initially goes when we talk about childhood actors who fell victim to the drug? That we our mind immediately goes to Dana Plato from Different Strokes.
Wasn't she overdosed in a trailer home
Yeah,
in Oklahoma?
yeah.
I said
very tragic, but
May
still.
8th, 1999, Moore, Oklahoma. I said 5 days after the first F5 tornado that they had there. They had another one 4 years later.
Yeah.
Then they had another one 10 years later. Basically, don't live in Moore, Oklahoma, even if it's the home of Toby Keith.
Who looks like he's doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Couple of
Dana Plato. Wow.
emails here in a tweet. I probably exposed myself as being an Iowan, even though I love living in Nebraska, and I've actually lived. I've lived longer in Nebraska than I have in Iowa.
Oh, you're in Nebraska.
He said, Eric says rifle. Only Iowegians use shotguns. So deer season.
That's true.
Rifle
Yeah,
in
rifle season.
Nebraska.
Yeah, it's rifles. Yeah,
I said
that's
shotgun.
True. Yeah, that is true. It is rifle season.
But any country song, how many times do you hear the word rifle used compared to a shotgun? Just saying.
Yes, that's true too.
Okay.
These are all good observations.
So, yes, the line for Iowa Creighton is now 12.5. I got it at 8.5.
That's good.
Here is after our segment with Sam McEwen. We've got one email into the Equitable Bank inbox. Sam is wrong. We've got another email into the Equitable Bank inbox on the same topic. Sam is correct.
Okay.
Which one would you like me to read first?
Let's do the Sam is correct, because I feel like the Sam is wrong could maybe lead to a longer discussion. Yeah. So where's Sam right? Let's know where Sam was right.
Sam is 100% correct. We've never seen quarterback play like we are seeing at Nebraska. Tanner Lee has even been heard to saying these guys are turnover machines. Now, where Sam was wrong.
Yeah.
Doesn't Cowherd do that?
Yes, where Colin was wrong, where Colin was right.
All criticism. This is the Sam is wrong. This is from the Lego Maniac, who is all out on Satterfield.
Yes.
All out.
He was actually surprised yesterday that I just saw the one headline said, or his subject header said, unfortunately, it looks like Rhule isn't going to make a move to get a legitimate OC here in the offseason. Shocking.
Is it, quick side note here, is it fair or foul? And I'm going to lead this answer. Is it fair or foul to use the Spencer Rattler before South Carolina, at South Carolina, post South Carolina discussion when you look at Marcus Satterfield?
Well, which one?
My curiosity wants to look at all of them.
That's where I am.
66% last year, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 71% this year, different offense, 17 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions.
That to me is fair.
So do what you will with that.
That is fair in my opinion.
They weren't too sad to see him leave.
I said yesterday, well, and I was not enamored with the hire at OC. Is this a year one issue at Nebraska because it looks nothing like you expected 10 months ago? Or is there more of a red flag on the pairing of what you want to do with who's calling plays and who's developing the most important guy on the field? All of those questions, I don't get paid that kind of money.
Yeah.
I'm not in charge of a college football program. That's for the head man to figure out. But back to Lego Maniacs. Criticism of Sam. Well, it's more of Satterfield. All criticism of Satterfield is justified. The two most inept aspects of this team are OC and quarterback. Satterfield is the quarterback coach and the OC. It's not rocket science to see what the common denominator is. Should we discuss the quarterback position with Jeff Sims real quick? Because we haven't done this before.
No, not enough.
Today.
All honesty, I'm not being snarky. You guys know how I feel. Was there ever, and I mean ever, a worst-case scenario plan B discussed in the Nebraska football offices at quarterback?
Not that it was ever indicated, no.
There should have been. There should
No.
always be a.
Okay, so there was never a, hey, Sat, worst case scenario, Sims is Sims. What are we going to do?
Right.
Don't worry about coach. We're good. We got Betts. We got Garcia Castaneda. We got this Billy Kemp guy.
Guys
we
can
got,
cover for him.
We got guys that can run routes properly.
Mhm.
You know what? We don't have to worry about that. We're good. We're good, coach. Coach, I really want to be like Maryland's offense. Coach, I know that in the middle of the year, you're going to shift and go, man, this is the Big Ten. I want to be run heavy. Coach, I'm telling you, I love that Maryland offense. And I insert that a little bit, and that's my own. I think you know what Matt Rhule would like to be offensively.
Yes.
I think Marcus Satterfield would like to have the ability with his wide receivers and his quarterback. And remember, Maryland still ran the ball. They not
Actually,
but
give them credit. They did, especially
yeah,
towards the end.
But doesn't it seem like the Maryland offense? That's a Marcus Satterfield offense. You
Yeah.
kind of like that offense.
Yeah, there's a little element to it, pitch and catch.
So you do have the blending of what do we got to do to be successful of what I would like to do. Hey, where have we heard that before? But there was never a plan B. Sims was your guy. I get it. You show up, he's your guy. And you got sold and you thought, man, we'll fix this guy.
Mhm.
So a lot of the reps in the spring, a lot of the reps in the summer, a lot of the reps in fall camp, go to the guy that is your guy. Now you have to trust Rhule when the question is asked, did you see these interceptions in practice and all this stuff? And he says no.
Right.
And I believe him.
I do. But I don't think there's any way he's starting.
But they have to own this because I think they thought, here we go. And I'm going to go big picture here. And it ties into an email I got yesterday about, hey, you don't ever hear Rhule talking about a bowl game. It's all about the process. And I thought, okay, year one, wins and losses. This is way beyond wins and losses. I think how Rhule is trying to figure out year one. And when it comes to the quarterback position, this is my read on it. You guys can get at me if I'm completely off base. They said, let's go get our guy, and then let's work backwards. Then let's go get our real guy to be our guy for many years, whether that was Dylan Raiola or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But Sims is good enough that all we got to do, Sat, is get us through 23 and probably 24, and then we're good. And we'll have it figured out. Okay, I got it, coach. Sims is our guy. Let's build him up. Let's get him going. Let's get him. He's our guy. Okay, it's going to be fantastic. The offense has got this. Man, we got Z back. It's okay. But they never planned for a worst case scenario of what if Sims all of a sudden is Jeff Sims?
Right.
And then what do we do? What if we lose a couple of wide receivers? What do we do? I don't think there was ever a plan B. And they're going to have to own it, and they're going to have to live with it, and we all have to live with it, and they have to find a way
They got to
in the last two games. Yeah. And then fix it so there's a plan A, a plan B, and you know what? Let's coach ourselves into an option of a plan C.
And I have a tough time believing that a coaching staff could not see that. It's one thing if you have a guy that's coming in from the transfer portal that doesn't show the ability to turn the ball over at a high rate. And again, I think this is where we also have to, context is important here, where those turnovers were going down each year in Jeff Sims' career. And this is again where the pairing of Marcus Satterfield and looking at some of his previous quarterbacks and the turnover rate has been there. That there's a commonality there. So I think there is maybe something to be said about that. I have a tough time believing if you have a guy that still does have a reputation of turning the football over, that you're not at least considering what is our other option just in case. And this is where, remember, going back to the spring, two things from the spring. First of all, we all watched that spring game and we kind of dismissed it, but the amount of turnovers that took place in the spring game, we're like, it's spring. And you know what? Most occasions, that's not going to be a major red flag. But then when you start to see it becoming a major problem, you look back and say, wait a minute. So you didn't see this in the spring? You didn't see this in fall camp? Because we all saw it. I have a tough time believing that it all just came out that one Saturday in a spring game and it wasn't just Jeff Sims. I mean, you had running backs that were turning the ball over. I mean, it was sloppy when it came to the turnover issue. And that was the biggest takeaway from the spring game was you didn't see the quarterbacks really open much up. Jeff Sims wasn't neither great or, bad, but there was a lot of turnovers. To me, I have a tough time believing that this was never an issue. But then also the other part about spring, who was the one quarterback that was shown more than anything when it came to highlights and all the video snippets that the football program was putting out on social media? It was Heinrich Harburg. But every time you saw a Heinrich Harburg highlight, it was him running.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to the development where at one point you're thinking, oh, I see what they're doing. Sims is going to be their guy, but there's something about Heinrich Harburg that this staff likes and that they can use that. Well, that's fine because I think what we've seen with Heinrich Harburg, they've used that part of his game, but the other part of his game that maybe just cannot be developed, and that is the passing game. Never was. I don't know how you prepare for the type of issues that hit the wide receiving room, and then, of course, you can't anticipate what's going to happen in your running back room with injuries. That's kind of on its own. But I'd like to think this coaching staff did, but all signs point to they didn't.
They made a mistake, and here's where I think they made the mistake. They got enamored with the talent they saw on film.
Yes.
I mean, it's easy to look at the film and go, damn, Jeff Sims is pretty talented.
But how much of the evaluation?
Hold on here, because there's more than that when it comes to quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So they got enamored with the talent. Man, that guy is talented. That guy's really talented. And then you see it up close, and you watch him in practice. Even on air, you're like, yeah, I could kind of see it. But here's where the big error came, is there are a lot of quarterbacks, because we've named them for the last 2 days, including Jeff Christopherson, who is one of the top intramural quarterbacks at Nebraska this year. He's from one of the fraternities. Found that out yesterday in our discussion about
what's his completion percentage.
I have no idea. But there's a lot of quarterbacks that look talented, but the biggest jump for a quarterback, can you execute?
Right.
And that's where I think they were focused on the talent. We just need a guy. And if he's good enough, man, there's going to be enough pieces around him that we can navigate.
Yeah.
He's talented, man. But they forgot to look into the simple fact that quarterbacks that make the jump, it's not just talent, it's about execution. They're doing that over on the defensive side of the ball. There's some talent, and there's guys that have been in this program that, man, they're talented, but they found the right thing to get them to execute. Yeah. They looked at the talent of Jeff Sims, but they overlooked his inability to execute on a consistent basis. And they thought they could overcome that because they'd have pieces around him. It's different 10 months later. I get it. But you didn't have a plan B. And you got a guy now who may have to play on Saturday night in another big game that is done because they turn the scoreboard on and they turn the lights on, and the moment is too big for him. That's the part where I think that takes Rhule by surprise. He had to know that the turnovers were there. He had to. But I think the fact that he loses all of his training when the lights and the scoreboard come on are like, oh my God, what is? So a guy you may have to play on Saturday, on Monday of game week against Wisconsin, you don't even give him an ounce of run. You're like, yeah, and but they didn't have a plan B. You're paying for it, and it's you love the talent, but you forgot about the most important thing at quarterback that goes with that talent is the execution.
And two things with the evaluation of Jeff Sims before he got to Nebraska. And I'll give, this comes in the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. This from Steve. He said, one should ask a big question when it comes to QBs with Rhule being out of the college game for nearly 3 years. How much of a recommendation on Sims was Satterfield? I'm guessing all of it. I think obviously Matt Rhule, and this is the one thing that I think we've learned in this program, is Matt Rhule is going to have the final say. He's going to sign off on things. And I don't think he's just going to do it with blind faith with his staff, no matter who that staff member is. I do think Matt Rhule is going to have a part of that. But going back to the evaluation as well, this is the one thing that I understand. If you're, say you're getting a a transfer quarterback that has not started in a game yet at the collegiate level, it's hard to anticipate what the game stage is going to present from a performance as opposed to what you're seeing in practice, even in high leverage scrimmages. It's just impossible because, again, when you are in a no-contact jersey, there's a little bit more of a peace of mind. I think there's a little bit more of a runway that you probably just naturally feel when all bets are off, when the opposing team can come at you, be as physical as they want with you, and you're going to be a part of the game plan, not just by throwing the football, but also using your legs. That changes things to me. And a lot of it, I think it becomes more of a mental thing. How do you anticipate what could come of that when everything, according to the coaches, looks good in practice, where you're making the throws that you're being asked to make, where you are executing the offense, even, again, in high leverage situations in practice that you're being asked to do. Then all of a sudden the lights come on, you're in a game situation, then, oh, crap, we didn't see this coming. Well, how much of the vetting process in talking to former coaches that were around Jeff Sims involved that part of it? To me, that is a big question of, is he the same guy you see in practice as you see on Saturdays? I would like to think that that's part of the checklist when you're gathering information on a guy that you're going to take. What were those responses when asked that question? Or when you're watching that, if you have any footage of him in practice at Georgia Tech, and then you're watching him on games, boy, he kind of looks different there, or he looks a little hesitant there, or he doesn't look as confident or sure there. Was that something that popped up on film? Was that something that was ever discussed with some of his previous coaches? To me, that would almost be a bigger question to ask, because you're telling me that just coming here to Nebraska, being able to run this offense, being able to get engaged with Marcus Satterfield and what he wants him to do, it's such a big difference from his previous experience of practice to games. I have a tough time believing that.
Yeah, and I think as things changed, at Georgia Tech, they were a vertical passing.
Sure, yeah.
And so he could chuck it downfield. All of a sudden, guys started to not be available, and they're not a vertical passing team.
Yeah.
And so now you have a guy who that is in his comfortable part.
Yeah,
of
intermediate passing all of a sudden.
It's a lesson to be learned. I'll give him a mulligan. I'm trying to figure out why they locked onto him. Rhule was already looking at him when he was out at Carolina. Jeff Collins put in a huge recommendation. Mm-hmm. They said, this is the guy. We need a guy playing in the Big Ten that's 6'4", 220 that will do what we want to do. The script changed, and Jeff Sims changed on them. And that's where we are, 5-5, and going into a game where, once again, the Nebraska quarterback room at the end of the year in November is a friggin' mess. Mm-hmm. It is an absolute mess.
Putting it nicely.
I don't want to hear that Casey Thompson would have. The biggest loss for Nebraska out of the quarterback room, Logan Smothers.
Yep.
We got to take a quick break. Jay, stay right there. It just, you got to fix it. I mean, that's on you. This program can't move forward without the most important position being fixed, because the quarterback controls everything. Mm-hmm. It controls absolutely everything. Doesn't need to be the greatest quarterback on earth, but it needs to be competent enough that you don't have to worry about it.
Reliable.
Exactly. Yep. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, it's reliable, and that is Woodhouse Mazda, because you can follow your path right now at a Mazda CX-30. This crossover comes with available SkyActiv 2.5 turbo engine that delivers up to 250 horsepower. Also, you get the peace of mind, especially with winter just around the corner. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but any road conditions, you're going to have that standard iActive all-wheel drive that is going to get everybody in the vehicle as safe as possible. And I actually really enjoyed the overall comfort of the smaller CX-30 with the CUV lineup. And now all new Mazdas come with prepaid maintenance and Mazda protection products. How's that for customer service? Speaking of customer service, you will not find it any better than at Woodhouse Mazda. They're located in two convenient spots in the metro, Bellevue and 144th and Giles. MSRP starting $26,669 of the Mazda CX-30. Experience a customer experience unlike any other. Team that understands how valuable your time is and offers a streamlined purchasing experience. You can even get your deal started. Go to woodhousemazda.com and woodhouseplacemazda.com. Stop in today. Shop online. Whatever your convenience matters to them. It's Woodhouse Mazda, a drive worth experiencing.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Call her for right now. 402-951-1620. Qualifies for 1620 The Zone's 4-quarter pick'em. It's your chance to pick 4 football games correctly against the spread to win $1,620. Call 402-951-1620. Call now to qualify with 1620 The Zone. The Connor Happer Show.
There was a gentleman from Nebraska that was on the Titanic, and he survived by riding at it out on a door. And this guy was Johnson, and they called him Titanic Johnson from Wahoo, Nebraska.
Titanic Carl Johnson.
Go Nebraska.
Go Nebraska. That's the takeaway. GBR.
Coast Guard finds him floating on a door. GBR.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from Canoyer Garden Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Windy and warm day ahead for Tuesday. Expect sunshine in the morning with south and southwest winds picking up, gusting 20 to 35 miles per hour. A few more clouds in the afternoon with highs around 70. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a slowdown from 94th to 75th on Dodge. Along 204th, be prepared for some major delays from Harrison to F Street. And along Highway 370, it looks like there's going to be traffic building up near 150th and the I-80 East and West ramps. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Lanahaw Nurseries.
Looking for a unique gift for your friends and family? Any size gift card will fit every homeowner or gardener on your list. We're your one-stop shop and homegrown headquarters. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's hot outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink icy cold, Nebraska-brewed beers, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Handley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Well, hey, it's Oliver Anthony. Me and Joey and the fellas are coming to your town. We're going to pet some dogs and sing some songs.
June 16th, West Fair Amphitheater.
So go ahead now. Tell your mama and your papa, your grandmammy and them. Just tell all them to come on. See you soon.
Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com.
Certified Transmissions built its reputation on the job done right. It means hard work, honesty, and integrity.
And together, we ensure our customers leave satisfied and worry-free.
Certified Transmission, the job done right at the right price.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
And now, try Babbel free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Hey everyone, Josh and John here for the FanDuel Sportsbook, where right now new customers, if you go to FanDuel.com/1620, you can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. John, I have the pick for Week 11 in the NFL. The 49ers of San Francisco are hosting the Bucks of Tampa Bay. Take the 49ers in this one, and you can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed if they win at FanDuel.com/1620.
Or just make it real easy. Bet against the Bears or the Cardinals or the Panthers or the Patriots. They're all pretty stanky. And all you have to do is win that $5 money line bet, and you get $150 in bonus bets back from FanDuel. Just go to FanDuel.com/1620. That's FanDuel.com/1620. 21 plus in President, Iowa. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Creighton basketball tonight. They take on Iowa here on The Zone. Tip-off 9 o'clock. How rowdy will it be for a 9 o'clock game? The pride of Creighton Prep, the pride of Omaha Maverick basketball, former number 44, former analyst on the radio until he bailed on me to go have kids and a life, John Karhoff.
Oh, yeah.
Text the show.
Yeah.
He goes, I was at the 99 Iowa Creighton game, was a 9-year-old in my Iowa gear.
Wow.
Like, John is a huge Iowa fan.
Yeah.
I mean, they did get screwed by the refs when Omaha should have won at Iowa. But I think he was okay with that. I kid. I said I was there as a 9-year-old in my Iowa gear, can vouch for the rowdiness, heard some words for the first time that night. Not sure if you remember Jacob Jacks from Iowa, but he got the crowd riled up the entire night. Will it be rowdy at the Chai tonight for the 9 o'clock tip for number 8 Creighton against?
Well, there's no Bohannon to get the to get the crowd riled up. Either.
But Fran McCaffrey.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And I
that's
just
true.
realized
And doesn't always seem like the more, I don't want to say hostile the environment, but the more energy is in the air at an away game for Fran, that all it takes is maybe 1 or 2 calls that he feels did not go his way, and then you'll get typical Fran. So look forward to that.
TC writes in, remember what it took to earn a single digit, talking about Jeff Sims. If Jeff Sims could have kept his total turnovers to a single digit, this season would look totally different.
Well played.
7 would be a good number.
Hey, there is something though on a different note here, because that's kind of funny. The fact that he did get a single digit and at least is a good person,
yes,
could be much worse. Just would like him to be a good person if he ever plays at quarterback again.
Mm-hmm. Good on the field.
On that note, here is Jay on quarterbacks. Hello, Jay.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Jay, how are you?
Well. I just want to. We've been talking about quarterbacks, and if you are following Husker football, you know our situation. So here's a little bit of insight. Right, give me like 20 seconds or 30. Sorry. Right. So you got Jeff Sims, who obviously physically we all saw, if we can look through it with clear lenses, we saw him be able to run the offense, and when he is on, it looks amazing. You can see him running the RPOs. You can see him going through his progressions, which is growth.
That is true.
Where he was at the beginning of the season. So it looks like if we assess him, it's a mind thing, not a physical ability thing, right?
Yep, between the ears.
When it comes to 10, when it comes to Double H, right? Double H is an athlete, straight, lacks hips, lacks feet, and lacks improvisation, right? But when it comes to securing the ball, when it comes to being, Trent Dilfer-esque, running the offense that he can run efficiently, he can do it. He can hand the ball off. He can run the zone read pretty well, right, when given less options, when it's just either hand it or run it. And he can also, get downfield. When his shoulders are squared, his hips are turned towards the end zone. He's really, really fast, right? We can see that. And he's 6'5", 200 plus. Big guy, physical presence, hard runner, but he cannot throw the ball. When I say he cannot throw the ball, that doesn't mean he can't physically throw it. He can physically throw it, but when it comes to reading progressions, knowing where to place the ball, having the confidence to do so, 10 is lacking, right? When it comes to Purdy, you can see Purdy, and we've heard Coach say it, Purdy obviously runs the scout offense. And what probably makes him well or do good at the scout offense is his ability to make up things on the fly or to improvise. I don't use the word.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he can make it up on the fly. And if he learns the offense, if he's running our offense, and it is our offense that is instinctually in his mind consistently, I think Purdy could do well, man. I think some of his stuff is mental too. So here's what I say overall. I think that where we are in the season, we can see now without a doubt our defense is solid. So we can stop all of the slights on the defense. The defense is real. If the defense wasn't real, we would be getting blown out by 3 or 4 touchdowns every single game. But what we do see or hear from the coaches, I went over my 30 seconds, sorry. What we do see and hear from the coaches is the fact that they have to keep it gangster. They got to keep it, cordial in the locker room, because it's just common sense that says I'm going out here giving all that I have every single play as a defensive player. And every time I put the offense in a position to do something, they mess up. So everybody can see that. But we also have to ask the equation that our wide receivers are young. So real quick, the play when Purdy threw that interception, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was Purdy being a quarterback. He saw, I don't know if he saw, but we can see in the play that Kemp ran a shallow route. He saw 15 coming open on the end route. He tried to stick 15 on the end route. 15 olays the ball. He dodges the ball, lets the ball go to the shallow, deep corner, which the play was designed to go to. But because 15 isn't confident in what he's supposed to do, he dodges the ball instead of just reaching out and grabbing it and scoring. So all the things that I said we saw it in our face on Saturday. We got to see all 3 quarterbacks, and we got to see all 3 quarterbacks' deficiencies. Now I believe as a fan base, if we can, look realistically, you got to start setting. Got to start him because at the end of the day, he has the skills to do what we need to do. It's just mental. So in order to get over the mental part of it, he's got to be able to mess up and keep going. That's what we have to offer him. That's my piece. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Jay, this is a fantastic call. Thank you.
And so what Jay brings up, it's something that I thought about on the weaknesses of each quarterback. But I mean, it goes hand in hand. You think of, the strengths of the quarterbacks, and we talked about this where all 3 of them have different ways that they struggle. But I think Jay's absolutely right. You can use the opposite of, when they're successful, the 3 things that they do well. This maybe brings me to the bigger question, and Jay, I thought, did a great job of illustrating this. What is tougher to overcome, especially in a single game start on the road? Is it physical tools or mental tools, or physical inabilities or mental inabilities? Because I don't think any of us would argue that Jeff Sims physically can do things that even some quarterbacks can't do. We saw that in the Minnesota game. We even saw that in the Colorado game. There was a glimpse of that even this last Saturday. But how far gone mentally, confidence-wise, is Jeff Sims to where there is just zero trust that you could hold it together for 4 quarters and not make the catastrophic mistakes that are going to keep you from winning a football game? Because normally I would say you can overcome the mental part of it because all you need to do is get into a rhythm. You start having some confidence and it feels natural, like what Rhule said, where you're just out there playing as opposed to thinking about everything that could go wrong. I think that's all fine and well, but is Jeff Sims capable of that part of it? That's the biggest question I have, which I would tend to say right now that what we've seen, he doesn't have that ability.
Didn't Matt Rhule yesterday say, I just want guys to go out and play?
Yes.
So if Jeff Sims happens to touch the field again for Nebraska, which I think is still in play, then he just go out and play.
Go play.
Just go play.
And that's all well.
So you're down.
That's fine.
You're down to 2 quarterbacks. One thinks a lot more than the other. The other just need to go out and play. One likes to just go play and doesn't like to think and doesn't like to sometimes run the play that was called.
Yep.
And so that's the unknown risk. You have the risk against the unknown risk. But there's what Jay said about Jeff Sims in terms of just guys that could make plays. I mean,
he's right.
That guy might have to be brought back off the oblivion scrap heap because Harburg is who Rhule would like to start. I don't know if Harburg plays anymore, but he may be forced to play the guy that he doesn't recognize anymore. We're dynamic.
Yes.
But
very much so.
But his words, we just want guys to play.
Yep.
Can you devise a game plan with a Sims and a Purdy where they just play? Can you bring me the lead draw I'm telling you, I love you long time. If they run lead draw on Saturday,
Yeah.
Yep.
If they do that, I love you long time.
Win that game 9-6.
But if they go there and they're like, hey, Mordecai's throwing the ball 45 times.
We need to.
No.
Let's try this. This is kind of fun. I'm out, okay? I'm out.
Then Josh is going to be hosting
I'm out.
Overreaction with you.
53 past the hour. BC and AK, otherwise known as Brian Christopherson and Andy Kendi. They're coming up in the next hour. I've been alerted by a couple of people that if you are traveling westbound on Dodge between 76th and 78th,
oh no,
they're working on the water main. So for the next 2 weeks, it's going to be a mess.
And I don't know if you guys, did it go to one lane finally?
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but right there at 72nd and Dodge, and then right as you get towards the entrance to Target on Dodge, it has been, man, I love that. They never have construction there. It's beautiful. It's easy to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Be advised.
I don't know which way you're taking.
Be advised.
It's been under construction since before I lived here. We've
Well-
been here 15 months now.
Well, it's a big
Welcome,
project
Jimmy.
over there, Jimmy. It's a big project.
I lived in Lincoln, wondered when they were ever going to fix the interstate because they're always working on it. I moved away for over a decade. I moved back and
That's
they're
still
still
been
working on the same thing.
Yeah.
I asked the same thing every day at 90th and Center. I drove through there yesterday and I'm like, someone told me that this was going to be fixed. Like the bridge would be done and the intersection would be fine and you wouldn't have to merge and all that stuff. And then my funny line of, I wonder if Nebraska will make a bowl game before they fix 90th and Center. Well, now it's in play that Nebraska might make a bowl game and 90th and Center is still a mess.
Gary, you know what it is? It's the roads trying to be 1% better every day.
You know
Okay,
what?
they're not just going to settle on what
That's-
they've accomplished. They're going to get
that's-
1% better every day.
That's why I'm going to move downtown. I'm only going to ride the streetcar.
Oh, good for
I mean,
you.
it's right there for you. You had to take it.
Yeah.
Finally, you've now come over to that side.
Yeah, but they shortened the route.
Yep. Well, you just better live within the route. That's all.
We're going to, station's going to move to Mutual of Omaha building.
1019 the zone.
Hey, let's do it.
We are
Pool some money together.
All right. 55 past the hour. Some emails, some tweets. We'll get them in before the end of the show on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone.
Good boy. At Cox, we think all customers deserve a reliable connection. So whether you're a loyal customer who's been with us for years, or you're new to the family like this little guy, you'll get the same great deals on the same great internet. And no matter who you are. See how you can save at cox.com/deals for all. Other restrictions apply, all rights reserved.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is and has always been locally owned and operated. Now, with 160 employee owners, chances are one of us lives in your neighborhood. We take pride in taking care of you, our customers, and keeping you comfortable all year round. And as always, our technicians don't have sales quotas. When other companies send salespeople, Standard sends qualified technicians. It's just part of.
Carrier, turn to the experts. Here's today's Husker Max Practice Report, brought to you by Tickets for Less on 1180 and 1620 The Zone.
Head coach Matt Rhule gave an update on his team's QB situation.
Quarterback-wise, Heinrich has a pretty good ankle sprain, so we'll see if he can do anything tomorrow. Shuttle came out of the game a little bit banged up. Hasn't played much, so he's a little bit banged up from getting hit. Jeff healthy, so we'll go through the week and probably come all the way up to game time in terms of who'll play.
Rhule said there's one thing his quarterbacks need to do to help them limit turnovers.
Our process is practicing so much and working so much that we can trust our training. So as you get late in the Big Ten year and you go through the Big Ten for the first time and, you start to experience these teams and things that they're doing, trusting the training that we're going to have, whether it's a read, whether it's a decision. So 2 of the interceptions, 2 of them are backing up and just kind of throwing it. Another one's just, throwing it, to a spot, hoping that it's going to be completed. And those things just can't happen.
For The Zone, I'm Matt McMaster.
The Husker Max Practice Report, brought to you by Tickets for Less on 1180 and 1620 The Zone.
Attention all you Husker football fans. This season, get ready to cheer on your Huskers like never before. Tickets for Less is offering an exclusive deal that'll have you jumping out of your seat. Use the promo code THEZONE and save big on Husker tickets for every game, home and away. From the electrifying home opener to intense conference matchups, Tickets for Less has you covered. Don't miss a single moment of the gridiron action. Visit ticketsforless.com today. Use promo code THEZONE and secure your seat to witness the Huskers live on the field this season. Hurry, this offer won't last forever.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Chase Senate Contracting, Tinman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, and Rotella's Italian Bakery. Immediately after the game, join the show and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction with the Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Visit Sid Dillon Chevrolet, Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer, to find the perfect vehicle for wherever your plans take you. Shop SidDillonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Since 05, Mo Fish in Council Bluffs has satisfied folks' taste for a good piece of fish. Fried farm-raised boneless catfish. Frog legs. You can even try the new Hush Puppies and Caramel Apple Churros. And just because there's always that one member of the family, they also serve non-fish related selections. Mo Fish in Council Bluffs, just minutes from downtown Omaha. Take the 25th Street exit off I-29 and head east to 2403 Nash Boulevard, or find them at that's MoFishCafe.com.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
And so not only Creighton and Iowa basketball tonight, basketball downtown, 9 o'clock. You hear it right here on The Zone. Jimmy will have the pregame beginning at 7. Jimmy will have the postgame, different Jimmy, afterwards.
Jimmy with a Y, Jimmy with an IE.
And then both of them will be here with me tomorrow. There's also the Champions Classic that's going on in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You guys realize that somebody tonight is going to be 1 and 2. They'll either be Duke or Michigan State.
Yeah.
Oh, panic.
Blue Devil and Sparty overreaction are going to be fantastic.
Kick them out of the Champions Classic. It's time to bring in some new blood. Not holding up their end of the bargain.
1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Izzo, Shire, done.
Yep. Sparty overreaction.
That's simple. Rick Pitino, done.
How's that after James Madison?
Michigan. Whoa. They don't look like an 11th place team in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
We may have fanned on Michigan.
And Juwan?
Well, Phil Martelli.
Yeah.
It's Juwan Howard isn't coaching.
That's right.
It's Phil Martelli. So is Michigan football, poll question, America's team because they have interim coaches that are doing well?
Yes.
951-1620.
Do you see the emotion of that?
Talk amongst your friends. Brian Christopherson, very emotional guy. We'll talk about the emotion of Keisei Tominaga coming back last night. Hey, I wonder if his popularity could get larger. You guys need to go. I don't know if you guys will make it to Nebraska basketball games, but he is putting on the Steph Curry like shooting before the game, not when they come out 30 minutes beforehand, but if you get there early, so he's shooting from all different spots on the floor and he goes through his routine, and then he's Mr. Half-Court guy. Like people ooh and awe watching him shoot.
Oh,
and he got a great applause last night. Now he was rusty and he was fighting it. He like wanted to get going. I think he is very well aware of how popular he is because he's playing to the crowd, and that's okay.
Good.
And so I'm thinking, is his popularity going to grow if they make the tournament?
Oh yeah.
But another thing helps him. I think this is a more likable TEAM, so that helps Tominaga's case. But there is no doubt how popular he is on the reaction last night in a game that was.
It was a
It
win.
sounded like a bomb.
It was a win, Gary.
Yeah, and you know what? They're 3-0.
They are 3-0.
Winning is hard. Remember that.
Having been 3-0 under Fred Hoiberg, that's something right there.
There are a lot of things in life that are hard. Winning is one of them. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain, time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a slowdown from 94th to 75th on Dodge. Along 204th, be prepared for some major delays from Harrison to F Street. And along Highway 370, it looks like there's going to be traffic building up near 150th and the I-80 East and West ramps. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Hey everyone, I just figured out a life hack. Saul's has a private selection of high-end designer pieces, and you can save up to half off luxury store prices. And Saul's buys your designer stuff that you don't want anymore. Smart high-end shoppers start at Saul's.
Hey, everybody, it's Michael Sue for Ted and Wally's 2 locations in Benson, of course, and in the old market as well. Listen, Thanksgiving is around the corner. You know this already. You're preparing. You're getting your turkey ready, all your sides. But dessert, that's the most important part. So make the call now for some to-go size orders from Ted and Wally's. Whether it's a pint, a quart, or half gallons, you'll be ready for your party, your Thanksgiving as well. Great flavors, over 3,000 of them, over 35 years in business providing you wonderful ice cream. Head over to Ted and Wally's now and tell them Severe sent you.
42 Degrees is proud to join our community in honoring those who served our country this Veterans Day. From now until November 19th, we're collecting cans of food, boxed food, non-perishables, and hygiene products for the Omaha Veterans Food Pantry, helping thousands of veterans in Nebraska and Iowa who are in need. Please bring to any of our Omaha or Lincoln locations. To all veterans, we say thank you for your service. Donate today at 42 Degrees. By your mom's house.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Put your coffee department in good hands with Host Coffee Service, providing direct delivery and loaned coffee equipment with service programs. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Creighton Sports Update. A busy week of home events for Creighton Athletics is coming up. Men's basketball takes on Texas Southern on Saturday at 7:30. Women's basketball welcomes Green Bay on Thursday at 6. And volleyball wraps up the 2023 season with its final home series on Friday versus Xavier at 6 p.m. and Sunday at 1 p.m. versus Butler. Tickets available at gocreighton.com/buy. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Seven joins us now. Good morning, BC.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good. Quick question here, and then I'm going to lead into a question about last night's Husker basketball game and the 14-point win over Rider. Could Casey's popularity get larger than it already is, judging by his return last night? Not by his play, because I think he was rusty and then he wanted to get going, get lathered up. But do you think his popularity could grow?
Yeah, I do. If it's a consistent presence he has all season, sort of like he had the last month and a half last year. I mean, just more games, more opportunities to go off. You know, but people sometimes kind of forget that the first part of the year he wasn't like one of the main guys necessarily. He was kind of popping in off the bench, and his minutes weren't as heavy. And then he just got rolling. Sometime around January, and that's when some of those 25-point games started popping up. And you know, just his personality is just such a joy. Like last night, he was struggling, yes, but you knew eventually the lid was going to come off. And then he hits 2 in a row, and it opens it up to a 7-point game. And he runs down to the other end of the court, and he like shoulder bumps the cushion on the basketball standard, and it's just like kind of fun. He's like celebrating with the basketball apparatus, and I got a kick out of it. So, yeah, K-State is going to hit shots and do things like that bring smiles to our faces.
Sitting there watching that game last night, and it felt like a Monday non-conference game, second week of the season. The crowd was a little bit dead. The play on the floor showed it. Everybody was sluggish. There was really no rhythm whatsoever. But I thought, as Nebraska won that game, and follow me here, and maybe you agree and can add to this, that we look at Nebraska football, how they've won games this year where we said, man, they would probably lose that game in the past. I thought that last night, BC, that those kind of games would come back to bite Nebraska against a good team, not a great team, but a team that's physical and make shots.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you go into a scoring drought and you go, how did we lose 64-62? Instead, Nebraska won by 14. Is that a sign of progress as well, that you win games that in the past you've clearly lost?
It's like you're in my head. That's exactly what I was thinking. It was last night.
Get out of there.
Yeah, get out of there, Sharp. What are you doing? It was one of those games where, yeah, you're right. They've lost it by a point or two to, teams like that before. Ryder, I'm not going to build them up too much, but they were preseason pick in their league. And I know they got housed by Marquette by 30 or whatever, but they also held a rebounding edge, and Nebraska won by 13 on the boards. And whenever you can shut a team down like that for 9 minutes without a single point, and that was a squad that had like 3 fifth-year guys, 2 fourth-year guys, very veteran team. So it was a dangerous sort of game in a way. And so, yeah, you give Nebraska credit for they at least locked down one end of the court, and it's like, it's not happening tonight. There's not going to be an upset here because you're not scoring. And I think they're taking some pride on that end of the floor, and they're obviously still figuring some things out on offense. I think they're still figuring it out at point guard, and Jamarcus Lawrence is one of those guys trying to kind of grow into that role. So he's going to have to find it a little bit as they go on. But it was encouraging in that way that the first 2 games were against really bad competition, but they were blowouts more than would usually be for Nebraska. And this game was against better competition in a game that would have been like a 2 or 3 point game in the past, the way Nebraska played on offense, but it wasn't. So yes, that's all like a good sign to me.
Hey, Rink Mass, what we continue to watch, we knew of his reputation coming in. He's had a lot of double-doubles at Bradley. We saw, now 2 for Nebraska. With his presence inside, but also what he kind of just brings from what already looks like a pretty solid leadership role there too. When you think of a likable team, what have you kind of taken away from Rink Mass and just watching him now in 3 games?
Yeah, he just got here in the summer and immediately, I think, rose to the top of the charts as the leader. Alec is right there with him or just behind him, so that's a nice 1-2 punch. And it's just comforting when you've got this guy who he's kind of a space carver. I mean, he just finds ways to get his body, like, where he's going to make space to get shots, or he'll find his way to some buckets where it's not like it's the prettiest thing in the world, but he's just going to get it done. And I think he ended up with 12 and 13 last night, and I think Alec had like 10 and 6. And so you put that together, that'll usually stave off upset bids at this time of year when you get that kind of presence from guys. So I think he's just dependable. He's a guy teammates know is going to play the game the right way, and I think they can run the offense through him, and he can become a pretty good passer. And I'm not saying he's to the level like Derek Walker is with some of that stuff yet, but he can hit from the outside too. And that, something I'd bring up is they're 17 of 22 from the line last night. And when Rink or like 6'7" Bryce Williams goes to the free throw line, you're not cringing that it's going to be a brick, and we've had Husker teams like that in the past where, and I don't want to jinx them, but we've seen guys where it's like a 3 for 7 for him, and it just kind of goes off the rails at the line, and they leave points out there. They were hitting some 1-and-1s early in that game when the offense was struggling, and they're getting free points that way, and it all kind of added up in the end.
And I mean, Ryder missed some shots, but I thought Nebraska was smart defensively. I mean, what was that 3-0, and all 3 opponents are below 55 points. I mean, there's at least something there. The bottom line is they're 3-0. I mean, it can be against whoever, but they're 3-0. Let's shift to football real quick, and I want to use another couple of numbers. Let's start with this discussion this week about Wisconsin. What is more surprising to you, BC? The fact that Wisconsin has 5 wins or only 8 touchdown passes?
5 wins, I guess. I get the question, though, because you sort of thought that would open up more with their new coordinator and some of the things they were trying to do. But given the injuries they've had at the position and just, they've been disjointed. It felt like they've been disjointed even when Mordecai was healthy from the get-go on offense. I mean, if you go back to like the Georgia Southern game, what was it, where Wisconsin took it away like 5 or 6 times, and that's why they pulled away in that game. Otherwise, they were really scuffling on offense. So they really have, much like Nebraska in their own way, struggled to find a rhythm. But the 5 wins is surprising to me. And I don't know what I based it on. I did hear like murmurs from people. They thought like Wisconsin might be a little further along than some of the other programs with the first-year coach. You do have to remember they were not a well-oiled machine at the end of last year. So Fickle didn't exactly take over an organization that was just like tip-top. I mean, that's why Jim Leonard didn't get the job. So he had some work to do, and they have a lot of changes they're doing with their offense. So there are going to be struggles, but I'll be honest, I expected more from them, and of all the teams in the Big Ten, of where I sort of had this standard in August of where they would be and where they are now, they've probably fallen shorter than anybody. At one point that was Illinois, but Illinois kind of righted the ship, and I think Wisconsin might be my answer to that, of like most disappointing for August thoughts, and now what I think of them here in November.
BC, the conversation on Saturday for Nebraska to have any shot is obviously going to be quarterback. You've seen all 3 of them, at least to an extent. You go all the way back to last year with Chubba Purdy. In this game, given what Wisconsin is right now and what Nebraska is right now, considering strengths and weaknesses, who gives Nebraska the best shot at winning? Again, considering the health issues as well with the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and unless we hear different on Harburg, I'm kind of thinking that's a no-go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if you guys are on the same boat with me with that.
Yep.
So it comes down to 2 guys. Yesterday Schaefer asked me this question, and in the moment I said Purdy, and I'm so shaky on it. Like right now, I think I'd say Jeff Sims would be my answer. And it's just because I know what the data has shown and how many turnovers there are per quarter with him. And maybe it's like you just keep knocking your head against the wall. What are you doing to yourself? Yet I do think he has some high-end capabilities when he's on, that he has a higher ceiling than some of the other guys. But I don't know if I feel real comfortable with Purdy until I see it for a full half or so where he functions and doesn't turn it over a couple times either. And some of that's maybe unfair to Chubba because, he's worked on his game and he's had that groin injury, but he's worked behind the scenes to be a better QB than last time we saw him with the last staff. So you got to maybe open your mind to the idea that could happen. And he did have a few nice plays on that drive. If I'm honest with you guys, I wasn't like, I got a sense that some people were more overtaken with that drive with Chubba and like, oh, you got to give Chubba a chance now than I was personally. I thought there were a couple good plays, and I like to throw to Kemp and stuff. But when you go back and look at it, I thought, there was some good runs, but it wasn't a drive that made me think like, oh, you definitely have to go this direction, if that makes sense. Yep. So, I guess maybe I start with Sims, but if it's a deal where, 3 drives in, you just feel like he's putting the ball in places where he shouldn't. And, there's a lot of risk being shown in every pass attempt, and then maybe you go a different direction. But there's not an easy answer is the actual answer.
Hey, a lot of the discussions about offense, is there any little concern about what you saw on defense? I mean, Maryland, for the most part, when they weren't shooting themselves in the foot, they were pretty efficient. Nebraska wasn't able to get off the field on 3rd down. They only gave up, 13 points, but any concern about what you saw on defense on Saturday?
Yeah, you kind of hit it there. Like on the possession just at the end of the 3rd quarter, where Nebraska got the 4th and 1 stop inside the 20, which was a funny play when Maryland tried to like run straight ahead on. It's like, good luck with that. But prior to that, I think they had converted, was it a 3rd and 15 and another 3rd and long? And then there was another series earlier in the game where there were 2 or 3 where it's like, man, they just got to get off the field here. And Nebraska ended up kind of dodging those bullets on those drives. So it kind of got swept under the rug. But I understand what you're saying. There were some some slight Minnesota first half flashbacks. Remember that, how the third downs just kept piling up early in that game, and Minnesota controlled the ball basically all of the first half. And Maryland was having some of those success on third downs where the down and distances weren't really favorable. So that was a little worrisome. I think they definitely need Quinton back there. I know the situation with Malcolm wasn't ideal. He got beat on the one, and I thought, Rhule showed some grace, and it was nice to say out loud that he hadn't been healthy going in. Like, Hartzog hadn't practiced until Friday that week. So they're a little banged up on that back end. So hopefully some guys, are in better shape going into this Wisconsin game, because Quinton Newsome is one of those players that you take him for granted until he's gone, and then you're like, oh man, he was really pretty good, wasn't he? He could most of the time kind of take away somebody, and yeah, there's a player or two they get on him, but you just knew what you're going to get. So hopefully he's back out there sooner than later, because it just adds so much to this defense when you have confidence on that one side of the field.
Hey, that was an injury that kind of caught a lot of us off guard. Was that something that happened in practice last week?
Yeah, that's what they said. It was explained that it was actually they hadn't gone that hard in practice. By that I mean it wasn't like just a full tilt deal. It was like in November, like, we're going to bring it down a notch, and he butted up against somebody, and I hit wrong or something with his shoulder, and so that was the explanation of why he was out. I think it happened Wednesday going into the game. They were hopeful that he was going to play, but he didn't. And so let's see what happens this week with that. Obviously, we can go back to the same guys who just got to step up, like Tommy Hill's that kind of fascinating guy who has great moments and then some down moments. So he's going to have to, have a game where he's more great than down. And Malcolm, Malcolm hasn't maybe had the season I quite thought he was going to have. Yeah. So this would be a time here at the end of the year where maybe he gets his hand on the football or something and makes a play, because that was something he really specialized in a year ago. So that would be a nice boost if that could happen.
Offensive line was talked about yesterday, BC. I said it first thing on Monday. In fact, actually after the game on Big Red Overreaction, the pass protection really stood out. Is this, even with the injuries and the reshuffling of this group, is this as stable as this offensive line has looked, in your opinion?
Yeah, and I know some people took issue when Rhule said it was their best game. I think he even said by far. I don't know if it was by far or not, but I understand where he's coming from, because, I mean, it wasn't their fault they turned it over 5 times. Mm-hmm. If you go back and look at that drive chart in that game, I actually have it in front of me. I mean, the first drive, of course, was helped by the fake punt that worked, but that was 10 plays. They had a 5-play drive, but then they had that 12-play drive where they went to the 27 and failed on 4th and 2. There was a 6-play drive that was effective right before the half when Sims was picked off. Aside from the 3 and out, then at the beginning of the second half, they had 10 points on those drives off the turnovers, and then everything else was okay by everybody who wasn't the quarterback. When you look at stuff, like including the last drive, which was effective, and they got some stuff in the running game. So I think one of the best quiet stories is Justin Evans-Jenkins as a redshirt freshman in the Big Ten Conference, which is not easy to just walk into, is doing okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to act like he's, we should give him an award yet, but we're not saying, oh man, he's a sore spot and this and that. So I think you got to give a lot of credit to him for kind of rising up to the moment. And then I think there's some hope behind the scenes, sort of like there is with the defensive line, that when you get like Sam Sledge and Gunnar Katula and some of these guys get their crack at like maybe being in the rotation next year, even if they're not starters, but they're the 6th or 7th guys, they feel like they have something working there. So, it's an interesting conversation, because obviously we're talking about the group with the very position coach that everybody's put under the microscope more than anybody. But I thought on Saturday, his group did quite okay, and they're going to have to continue that if Nebraska's going to pull one of these last 2 out.
Hey, final one. Is this going to be one of the lines of the year? And I thought it was a pro coach yesterday responding to a question that could have gone down a path he didn't want to go down, when he said, let's just leave it at that. It's just easier that way. Is that going to be one of the lines of the season?
It might be. I think I asked the question. Hopefully I framed the question in a fair enough way. I think people are just curious, like, we're getting to know the staff, right? And like how they operate on game day. And I think most people understand Rhule's got to say in everything. Sometimes though, I feel like it's our job to like have the coach say out loud, like give them an opportunity. Here's what's out there. Here's what everybody's, going to gossip about or whatever the next week. Like, what do you say to that? And put it on the record. And I thought he gave the sort of artful answer we would probably expect from him at this point, as he did when Sam asked about, what we don't understand. I don't want to misphrase that question, but about Satterfield. And it was a very good, fair question, well worded. And I just thought Rhule put out there, what he believes in these guys. He didn't bring these. He's a loyal guy to his staff because he feels like he has data that these guys are built for this. And he didn't come here with any of these guys on like a 1-year odyssey, and so that's something that has to be understood. And that doesn't mean we can't have critiques and say, I want to call that on third down or, and he acknowledged that. Like the OC is always going to take some heat. The head coach is going to take heat when you lose games like that. But I thought he did a nice job of sort of moving us past a conversation that isn't a real one about Satterfield, because it's not in there. And that's all I'm worried about. Like everybody can have an opinion whether this guy's good or not good. That's part of it. But it comes down to is that what does the head coach think and what are they really going to do at that spot or not do? And I thought he just made that a non-issue, which is probably good. So we won't have that lingering, 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, I think that's a guy that has been fired in the NFL that got those questions over the last 2 years in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows how to handle it.
Yeah, he does. He's good at it. And I appreciate that he's a pro about it. And, they're, hopefully it's asked the right way with respect. And that's always the goal too. But yeah, the emotions were running high after that game Saturday. I mean, I felt it like on my timeline on our board. They're so close to that bowl eligibility and people know what that means to this program. And that one hurt people. I mean, it did. Like there were some strong opinions. So it's one of those games where obviously those questions and answers are going to have to come up.
Yep. BC, as always, appreciate it. Enjoy Wisconsin on a Saturday night.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
Last Saturday, there are a couple of Saturday nights. One, Mike Riley could have gotten a huge victory.
Oh, yeah. The 7-0 start. OT.
Paul Chris dropped an explicit on Frost.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonathan Taylor just kept running and running and running. And then, of course, everybody remembers their pleasant experience, the first Big Ten game.
Yeah.
Playing up there. But he had a good time. I think that's why a lot of people continue to go back to Madison because they were treated so well in 2011. That's what I hear. I wasn't here, but that's what the boards say. 6:30 on NBC. NBC and CBS back-to-back. What is the bizarro world that we live in?
Football.
That was the price of the
You know what? By the way, and we don't have to, but we've gone now 2 full shows without bitching about Peacock from Saturday. It wasn't good, but
was it?
No.
I watched the replay. It didn't look terrible. I mean,
I didn't have the sound up. So.
The different camera shots, like they're trying to gain focus. It was. I watched a little bit of that Iowa Northwestern game, and I thought they did a pretty good job. Wasn't solid. Wasn't a solid product.
Made you yearn for the 11:30 FSN.
It did. It did. But good on us because I think you can only do so much. You can only do so much when you're talking about that broadcast. It's like it is what it is. I expect a little bit more out of it because I'd seen better from their previous Peacock games, but that one wasn't great.
Well, now you get
maybe it just was a product of it was a bad game. I don't know.
It was a bad game.
Yes, it was.
It was a really, really bad game. But somebody had to win.
They did. They always say,
"Hey, it could have been pay-per-view."
It's a shame someone's got to lose this game. Sometimes you flip that and say it's a shame someone's got to win.
Oddity of the world. This will be the third straight opponent Nebraska's played this weekend that has lost at least 3 straight coming into the game.
Slump buster.
A little bit later, Andy Kendi before we close out the hour on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
I think people would try to sleep with the aliens first.
Wow. You think first, Nick? That assumes that
In my
the
heart.
humans can capture the aliens with their technology, couldn't capture us first. See, that's the problem.
I don't know if it's got to be a capture situation. I think they're just going to try to rizz up the alien.
Riz up the alien?
Uh-huh.
What does riz up the alien mean?
Just quart the alien.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from Canoyer Garden Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Windy and warm day ahead for Tuesday. Expect sunshine in the morning with south and southwest winds picking up, gusting 20 to 35 miles per hour. A few more clouds in the afternoon with highs around 70. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Our Cox mobile plans are like a band. The more people you add, the better it sounds. So, add more lines to save more. Pay as low as $30 per line when you add 4 or more gig unlimited lines. It's easy. I like the sound of that. Visit cox.com/mobile. 4 lines required for $30 per line. Price max of 5 lines. Prices exclude taxes, device activation, and other fees and charges, which are subject to change. Cox postpaid internet required. Other restrictions apply.
Omaha's favorite Christmas tree is back, and the party is going to be better than ever. Join us Sunday, November 19th at 90th and Dodge for the Salvation Army Tree of Lights Family Festival, presented by American National Bank. The festivities kick off at 4 Santa. Then the fun continues with a live musical performance from one of the Metro's favorite local artists. And finally, we'll light the 75-foot-tall Christmas tree just after sunset. Mark your calendars, 4 p.m. November 19th in the American National Bank parking lot. We'll see you there.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon. This holiday, trade in any iPhone in any condition for the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium, Apple TV 4K, and 6 months of Apple One. All on us with unlimited Ultimate. Act now. Visit Verizon.com. 6 months of Apple One, then $10 per month. $999.99 device payment or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on unlimited Ultimate plan required. Less $1,000 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR. Apple TV 4K and Apple One offers require eligible phone purchase with activation on unlimited Ultimate. Additional terms and conditions apply. Visit Verizon.com for details.
Stick to the plan. Trust no one.
From the director of Seven, Fight Club, and Gone Girl.
Anticipate. Don't improvise.
Michael Fassbender.
Forbid empathy. Empathy is weakness. Weakness is vulnerability. This is what it takes if you want to succeed.
The Killer. Rated R. Under 17. Not admitted without parent. Now playing. Only on Netflix.
Let me get you up to speed on the service that you need.
Katie was recently told by a competitor that her transmission needed to be replaced. She thought the cost seemed a little too high, so she called us. We towed it from that shop and verified the transmission was in fact bad. We did the job and saved her over $1,500. Sometimes a second opinion can save you a lot of money. Don't overpay. Call Omaha Transmission.
Omaha Transmission, shifting to running smooth.
Sports fans, Let It Fly Sports Bar is your elevated sports bar experience. Indulge in our culinary touchdowns with a menu crafted to satisfy. Savory burgers, tender steaks, to our fire wings. Our world-renowned chef will leave your taste buds cheering for more. We've raised the sports bar dining experience with a new high-end design and incredible food. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just love the excitement, Let It Fly is your place. Host your next college game day watch party or private event right here. Elevate your game day experience at Let It Fly, located in downtown Omaha.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
87-72, Creighton over Iowa tonight. What I'm going with.
I got to cover for sure. I mean, I feel like it's probably going to be in the 80s, but for the sake of doing something different, I'll Give me a 78 to 64. 78 64. There we go. 14 points. Is it 13 and a half, right? 12 and a half. Or 12 and a half. There you go. 14 points. There you go.
That'll be something.
They'll be knocking the door. But yes, I feel it.
Spirited crowd.
Would you say final score is? I said 78 to 64. Total's 160. Oh yeah, yeah. That score actually would surprise me. I think
I just don't know Iowa can keep up with the Creighton pace. There'll be a lot of possessions in this game.
I'm, again, more about the perimeter game defensively where Creighton is than I am offense. Not concerned. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm concerned about Creighton's defense, but again, with a better offense that they've seen to this point of the season, how has that defense looked? That's what I will be looking for more than anything tonight.
There'll be a lot of people watching on the East Coast when it starts at 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
To your favorite FS1 channel.
Totally.
BC brought up, Sam brought up Tony White and San Diego State, which is a good job. New stadium. Of course, you're in Southern California.
Climate just like Omaha.
Exactly.
What's their hideout?
I am surprised that Cliff Kingsbury's name is not being brought up. Already familiar with the area. There's a guy,
Looks
offense.
the area.
Yeah.
Yep. That's going to be interesting to see Cliff Kingsbury as what is the next sort of step in the reclamation of Cliff Kingsbury. You're with the staff right now, very well-known offensive-minded guy in Lincoln Riley. You are an offensive-minded guy yourself. It didn't work in the pros, but I don't feel like that is a guy that's just going to now be a lifetime coordinator and just kind of follow the bag wherever. I feel like Cliff Kingsbury is going to get that shot, but where would that be? What does Cliff Kingsbury want to do right now? He's made a lot of money.
74 in San Diego today.
Oh, God, we're so close.
71.
Well,
here.
So close.
It's a good job. I mean, there's no reason why the Fresno States and the Boise States of the world are better than San Diego State. And San Diego State's had a nice little run of success. They'll get the right person. Tony White's name will be brought up because he spent 9 years there. And eventually Tony White will leave, and he will become a head coach somewhere. I think he'd go head coach before somebody hiring him away to be the DC.
Yes.
All I got to say is, Tony, you got a chance to make Javen Wright a superstar. What are you going to do about it? But, Matt Rhule is always thinking ahead. You look how he has built his staff. Like, he always has the next man up. Like, if a guy gets a job or he has to make a move or, a guy steps out of his lane, is Tony White, if he leaves like in the next couple of years, which I truly believe and he should, because he's that good, is there a guy on staff that is the next Tony White? Because you have a unique defense, a 3-3-5, which now you're kind of recruiting to. Now, not all of a sudden can you say, well, we'll be fine. But you got a unique defense that guys are excelling in. Is the next defensive coordinator for Nebraska on the staff? I think it is. I think they are grooming the next defensive coordinator if and when Tony White leaves. I don't think it'll be soon. I don't think, next year. But he will leave, and he'll be a head coach somewhere, and we're okay with that.
Coach Roast.
We're not cool if they don't have a plan B on this side. I think they do.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who that is. I think Rob Dvorak is your next defensive
that was the name I was going
coordinator.
to say. Because Terrence Knight, kind of a popular guy. He's another guy, though. Is there going to be a pathway back to the NFL for Terrence Knight? That's another guy that you want to keep. I think he's doing a fantastic job. I think everybody would agree. Rob Dvorak just quietly has kind of put together a very solid linebacking core. And then when you kind of, again, look at sort of his familiarity with this defense too, he's another one of those guys that I would have thought, you know what, you could see being a DC someday. Love what Evan Cooper brings to the table as well. But yeah, Rob Dvorak was kind of the first name when you mentioned that. Kind of popped in. Like, I wonder if you're thinking of Rob Dvorak as well. And again, I think we probably talk less about Rob Dvorak when we talk about the position coaches on that side of the football. And you look at what he inherited, having Luke Reimer, but also Nick Henrich coming back from injury the way that he has was no simple task as well. You mentioned Javen Wright. I mean, you could even kind of look at Gifford sort of crossing between defensive back, linebacking. Like there's a lot to like about what that group has been able to do. And again, having that type of continuity with that coaching staff too, and learning and continuing to learn. Like Rob Dvorak, 35, 36 years old? He's a young guy. And so, still continuing to learn under Tony White right now. I think that could be a very, very solid candidate there.
I mean, a lot of rules. What he operates is out of familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tony White's the one that is like, what is
and that worked out well.
In the walls, Rob Dvorak is a really, really highly thought of coach.
Mm-hmm.
So Tony White's name will get mentioned. I saw he was at the way bottom of a list at San Diego State, and he should be. He was there for 9 years. Southern California guy. I'm sure when Chip Kelly gets the Ziggy,
it's coming.
And in the Pittsburgh of the West Coast, they play in a rented stadium miles from campus. His name will get mentioned. He'll be a head coach someday. It just will not be out the door in the next year. If not, I'm going to bring him Javen Wright. I'm going to say, that guy right there, look what you've done for him.
Yeah.
24, that dude can be a superstar. Yeah. AK, in my eyes, is a superstar. He'll join us next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Severe for Ted and Wally's Premium Ice Cream. We always have conversations around the holidays about what you can do for dessert, right? And there's so many people that love so many different types of desserts, whether it is a cake or a pie. But you know what goes with both of those perfectly? It is ice cream, and it's ice cream from Ted and Wally's. 2 locations that one in Benson, and of course in the Old Market. If you want to do this, you got to do it ahead of time. Pre-order, whether it's a pint or a quart or half gallons, whether you're having a fall party or if it's for Thanksgiving as well. It's right around the corner, and you got to have dessert right. Sure, the entrees are important. The sides are important, but everybody comes for the dessert. You know what I'm talking about. You got to grab your dessert and get it early, whether it's a tailgate party or if it's for Thanksgiving or just something you're doing during the fall. Head over to Ted and Wally's now. Put your order in early. Stop by, whether it's the Benson location or the Old Market location, and get you some premium ice cream right now. And of course, when you go to Ted and Wally's, tell them Severe sent.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
My life coach has a terrible life.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
My passport is in the pocket of the duffel bag I took to Mexico.
It's the Black Friday sale at Mattress Firm. Get a king bed for a queen price and save up to $700 on Sealy. Plus, get a free adjustable base with select mattresses. And if you see a better price, we'll match it. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's hot outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink icy cold, Nebraska-brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, time to welcome in a good friend from KTV Smart man. Doesn't work on Monday nights with Monday Night Football on ABC, so it's his off day. It's his on day this morning. Andy Kennedy joins us. Good morning.
Good morning. Those off days on Mondays end. That was it. I'm back on next Monday. Yeah. Yeah. Next Monday, big state championship for the high schoolers. So I'm in studio, and Foster is young Matt Foster will be at Memorial Stadium.
Young Matt Foster.
That is true. Hey, let's start there. No doubt, if Westside beats Elkhorn South Tuesday night, they're the best high school football team ever in Nebraska.
So that's a great debate. A great question. And I think you may have some Creighton prep grads and arguing about back in the 80s. I just talked to a couple of old college friends who went to Creighton prep who
1985.
trying to sell me on that. Yeah, trying to sell me on those teams. And there have been some great ones since then. So, the thing that I think is fascinating and has to enter in the conversation is the competition around them. Are teams better around Westside now than they were around Creighton Prep back in the 80s, or whoever you're going to compare them to? And that's a great debate. Now, you can take the argument to the next level and say how many D1 guys were there and how, but has that changed because of social media and exposure for Nebraska kids? And there were probably quality candidates back in the 80s and 90s that didn't get the exposure that maybe kids get today. I don't know. I think it's a great debate and a healthy debate. And, but man, if Westside finishes this off in the convincing fashion, you'd have to put them up in at least the Mount Rushmore of high school football teams in the state of Nebraska, if not the best.
Yeah, and Andy, you bring up a good question. I'd ask if you're looking at what defines one of the greatest we've ever seen, is it more of the type of guys they have in the type of college opportunities they're going to have, like D1 players or even FCS type guys that are going to go on and play college football? Or is it just as simple as looking at the product on the field and how dominant they are, especially with the amount of shutouts and what Westside's been doing? Is it more of what you just see on the field?
I think it's a combination of both, and I would be fascinated to hear, the comments of Steve Foster, what he said. Because the eye test is one thing, right? I mean, I didn't get to see those great teams in the 80s with Creighton Prep, so I don't really have a basis for comparison. But that there are kids that played Westside this year that 10 years from now they're going to be saying, "Oh my God, we got drilled by Westside." But you know what? Westside, we played against the Caleb Bennings and the Rezacks and the Christian Joneses of the world. And my God, was that team stacked. Right. That's going to happen because that's what people talk about the Creighton Prep teams and other teams. Mm-hmm. So, I think the way Westside has done it, and the way Westside has done it on both sides of the ball, they're not just a scoring team, but man, their defense is so good. And they got one more hurdle to go, and it was interesting after that semifinal win. It was a very business-like celebration, if you want to call it that, in terms of the celebration. But they know that they've got one more to go, and we'll see what happens. Because Elkhorn South, man, they've improved every week, and now they're finally getting a little bit healthier and playing some of their best football. And I'll tell you, that Friday night game, I got a text from my photographer, Tyler White, at around halftime, like this, and he was like, "This is a dog of a game." And all of a sudden, like a half of an hour later, he was like, "Holy blank, this has turned into a barber." Like, what a game and what a finish. That was probably the best game of the weekend.
Hey, I'm going to give you three teams. You tell me who does not belong, or if they are all belong in the same neighborhood. And this is the Big Ten, and the Big Ten West forever after this season, of course. A Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska. Do they all belong together, or is someone not supposed to be grouped with those three?
Oh, my goodness. Is this what are candidates for the guaranteed rate bowl? Is that the answer?
Well,
here?
So it's weird because Minnesota might not make a bowl. Wisconsin only has 5 wins, and we're looking at Nebraska's 5 wins and going, "Oh, geez." But it's probably more than some thought. It's a weird to have the next to last weekend, AK, that I believe Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nebraska, there's not much separation. And if you go back to August, there actually should be with Wisconsin, Minnesota compared to Nebraska.
I agree with that. And I would think you put Minnesota on the bottom of those three, in my opinion, at this point. Now, Wisconsin hasn't lit the world on fire, especially not the last 3 weeks. I mean, that's obvious. They've scored 34 points in the last 3 weeks. They got their quarterback back, but anybody who's watched Wisconsin will say that Tanner Mordecai maybe isn't the answer, but how much is that Tanner Mordecai or the receivers? Mm-hmm. And, Braylon Allen's been banged up. He had 3 carries last week for 3 yards. But Minnesota's an interesting deal, man, because Minnesota, it seems like this is the year they're not winning the games that normally in years past they did win in terms of the close one-score games. The game against Illinois, if you guys saw that, they just kind of fell apart. They took the lead, and you're like, there's Minnesota doing Minnesota again, doing Minnesota things again, and they gave up a long touchdown to a backup quarterback at Illinois. That's put Illinois in position to now get a bowl. But I think for Nebraska, going full circle, I think, you can talk about all the warts on offense and what have you, but the fact that we are a week away from Thanksgiving and we're talking about meaningful games and saying something about Matt Rhule, and I know he's had a handful of injuries, and this is not making excuses. This is true. Somehow he's pieced together 5 wins, and I don't know if anybody would be surprised if they went into Madison and won, even though the odds makers say differently. This is a team, if you're going to get Wisconsin and Madison, this is probably the year to do it. And if you can get just an average quarterback play, keep control of football, I think you win in Madison.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And with that, does these next 2 games, regardless of the result, from what you've seen from Matt Rhule this year and this team and knowing what the shortcomings are and injuries and everything that goes with that, does anything about these next 2 games, regardless of the result, change the outlook for Matt Rhule going into year 2, in your opinion?
I'm not sure about that. I think people will look differently at this team looking back if they make it to a bowl game. I think that's important. I think that says a lot, especially because of what Matt Rhule said preseason, that this wasn't a typical year 1 of his rebuild type of, his template, so to speak, that this was more, and he wanted to he owed it to the older guys to try to get them to the bowl. And I think if they make it to a bowl, I don't know how they're going to do it in terms of if they can beat Wisconsin, if they beat Iowa, or if they win both of them. Who knows? I think 6-6 looks a lot better than 5-7, even though at the beginning of the year, I think most fans, if they were honest with themselves, thought, 6 would be a good year. Like, if you get to 6 in a bowl game, so that's why I do think that these last 2 weeks are very important. And if you can get to 6 somehow, some way, pulling a line from Bill Moose, if we can just get to 6, think about that. I mean, how far has that come?
Right.
In about a span of 5 years. When he said that, the world stopped in Nebraska. And now it's like, if we can just get to 6, I think that'd be a good year. True. And I think at least in year 1, I think this would be a really nice first season under Matt Rhule, given all that he's faced.
All right. Well, if it happens on Saturday, we'll say Nebraska's accomplished a moose. You were in the room on Saturday. You were in the room yesterday, and turnovers have been a conversation after games on Saturday and Mondays with Matt. And this has been a hot topic about the turnovers and who's at fault. How would you divide, or you can say I don't even want to go there. How would you divide the accountability for turnovers in the game of football? Helmets or headsets?
Oh, well, it's unique because I think you can really go. You can take them one by one. I think that's really what you have to do. I think there's a few on Saturday that you say, that was on the helmet, and then a few on Saturday you say that was on the headset. It's an interesting deal because, as Matt Rhule said yesterday, it's not like they're trying to turn the ball over. It's not like in practice they're turning the ball over. He said in practice they're not throwing interceptions. Well, for some reason, on Saturdays it's not translating. Now, the thing that drives me crazy is when the kids or the players do stuff out of context. Like when Jeff Sims reverses the field and tries to do something on his own and gets in trouble and fumbles, I know that drives me crazy. And it's got to drive fans crazy. You can take a great play on a defensive back, making a great play. Okay, tip your hat and move on. But it's when you put yourself in stupid positions and then turn it over. That drives people crazy. So whether or not they're able to fix this in 2 weeks, it's funny. It's like you don't even have to fix it where you're not even turning the ball over. Just don't turn it over 5 times. How about 1? or how about 2? And then on the defensive side, take it away more than the opponent. It's mind-boggling that this team is, as good as the defense has been, has only won the turnover battle one time this year, and has been equal in one other time. And they've still won 5 games. Just imagine if that turnover statistic was different. So you're minus 14 in the margin. You got to win I think if you win the margin in either of these 2 games, you're going to win the game. So I think there's plenty of blame to go around. I think Matt Rhule has done a nice job of taking and deflecting some of the blame and stepping up yesterday and say, hey, you know what? You want to point the finger pointed at me? I'm the head coach. It all starts with me. I thought that was a very mature session that he had yesterday, a very professional session. He's very impressive at the podium, and he always has the right things to say. And that's been a pleasure to cover on Mondays.
Absolutely. AK, have a good week. I know next week will be busy, so we'll see you down at Memorial Stadium plenty of times. And safe travels to Madison.
Thanks, boys. Be good. Have a good week.
And Andy Kennedy from KETV. All right. The OC and the DC speak today. So we'll get a little insight on what happened at the end of the game from Marcus Satterfield. We'll react to that tomorrow. Crossover. Connor Happer's coming up next. Enjoy Nebraska. Enjoy Creighton, Iowa tonight, late night.
Playing a game in Nebraska.
Yes. Welcome all the Iowegians to this side of the river.
Enjoy your day.
As Creighton looks to beat Iowa in the Gavitt games to uphold the prestige of the Big East, which had a bad day yesterday. Crossover's next. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6.